All right, I'm back.
Right? All right. 3, 2, 1. Oh, hello there. Welcome to the Advent 7 world. Who am I? Well, I'm Tre, but most refer to me as as your podcast host. Today I am joined by some of the very best. We have the master of the Elite Four, Andrew.
Hey, I got my Pokemans. I'm ready to duel monsters.
Oh God. We've also got the head researcher at Silphco, Spencer.
Hello.
And we've got the leader of Team Waifu, Drew.
Yeah, let's get digital.
Digital monsters.
Yes, if you couldn't tell, we're talking about Digimon. No, we're not talking about Digimon. This is.
Wait, oh, I'm out. Sorry.
If you haven't figured it out yet, we're going to talk about the #1 multimedia franchise in the world, Pokemon. From anime and video games to cereal and the freaking Macy's Day Parade, Pokemon has been around for 25 years and it has shown no sign of stopping. But before we begin our adventure, we'd like to thank you all for tuning in today. If you're new here, we hope you enjoy the show. If you do, you should hit that like button, click the subscribe, and share this all over social media. Once you're done here, check out some of our other content. For fans of Lavender Town creepypastas, why not check out our horror podcast that Frank and Ed did for Halloween? Or, if you're not feeling brave like me, then you can check out our series on Star Wars Visions. Do a lot of breakdowns on that. And if you go to our main website, advent7.com, there is an article breaking down the Pixar's Lightyear trailer. So good stuff out there. Okay, with all of that taken care of, grab your bag, tell your mom goodbye, and let's try to catch them all.
Yeah, screw you, Mom. I'm going on an adventure.
Yeah, who needs you?
I'm gonna throw some balls at some monsters.
Okay, but can I have my shoes first? I don't want to go.
Shoes? How about a bike?
No, you have to find the bike on your own.
Yeah, Mom's too cheap for a bike.
I mean, in the original Pokemon games, the bike was like $1 million Pokédollars, which was literally impossible to get in early gens.
Yeah, but then you can like get this piece of paper and just give it to them. Dude, I could just photocopy a bunch of those and make some bank. Just sell them for half price of a bike, and you are making absolute bank.
Your mom
Very
is also like a single mom who bought a house. I don't imagine she has a lot of money.
No, she wasn't a single mom before. She was a single mom after. In almost every game, you have a dad in most cases until they mysteriously disappeared. Except in Hoenn, the best region, because your dad just lives in 2 towns over.
He's just a gym leader you end up fighting.
Yeah.
Pretty cool. Like, I was happy to actually see a dad that you'd interact with and learn more about. That was
Yeah, it was
pretty
one of my
overdue.
favorite parts of Owen. Yeah. I actually liked seeing the dad be actually present in the game instead of either alluded to or not.
Yeah, that always was a kind of a weird thing if you noticed it throughout all the generations.
However,
I mean,
the Pokemon stage play from Generation 1 did provide some hints as to who Ash's dad might be. Because there's a scene where he confronts Giovanni in the stage play. And I don't know how they get onto the topic of it, but I think Ash says something along the lines of like, "What do you know about me? You know nothing about me." And Giovanni's like, "Oh, I know more than you think. Just ask your mom." You're like, "Whoa, what?"
They were implying that Delia was working for Team Rocket, but we're moving.
No.
Nah, it was a pretty open-ended confirmation.
Yeah.
I mean,
So speaking of,
we've also
that
admitted
Ash and
that
Silver are half brothers.
Ash's mom's like his dad is actually Mr. Mime.
oh my God.
Not even
No, it's
5
Professor
minutes
Oak.
in, already
It's
trying
Professor
to break
Oak.
Tre.
What are you talking about?
I mean, this was the Pokemon podcast. It was Tre's idea. Of course, I was gonna ruin it.
Yeah.
Oh my God! I just saw the picture of all of the Pikachu Happy Meal boxes.
Yes. Yes, the Pikachu Happy Meal boxes. That was a great way to
Maybe
celebrate.
once. It's just someone else posted that on the internet, so it's just
Yeah.
funny.
Oh, it's not even ours.
It's not
oh my
our
God.
picture. No, unfortunately.
That's like how many we
don't have
had
that
though.
It is.
many. We collected quite a few, like 10, I think.
Oh, we had
Yeah.
over 10 because my sister wanted a bunch. So it was probably close to 15, which is about how many were in that picture.
I started with this ancient Mew card, and now I have all of this.
All right. So, since the three of you guys have not been active in the Pokemon scene for a bit, I want to hear your histories so I can know where I need to rant at. So, Andrew, why don't you tell us your Pokemon story?
So Pokemon for me, I think the earliest memory I have Pokemon is when I was 5 years old, and I was with my family standing in line outside of a store at the military BX, the store where like a lot of families go to, like military families go to on base when you live on base at an Air Force base, military base whatsoever. We were staying in line at a store for the release of Pokemon Heart Gold, the original Pokemon Gold and Silver games. Like, those came out, and my brother convinced my whole family to stand in line at midnight and wait for those games to release so we could get 2 of the first copies. So I remember my dad holding me in his arms while I was passing out as you're standing in line to get a copy of Gold and Silver. That is my earliest memory of Pokemon in general, and moving forward from there, I think I was living in Iceland at the time when I was like 5 or 6, and Pokemon was just all the rage. By the time we hit Gen 2 with Pokemon, like the franchise had just exploded in America. It was growing everywhere overseas. So I remember growing up, every kid in my class had the trading cards, the games. It was just everywhere. And every sleepover I'd go to, we were always watching the OG Pokemon anime, like the original episodes we had on VHS that a friend had on VHS. I saw the first movie at a movie theater in Alabama because my family actually flew back from Iceland over to Alabama overseas just to see the first movie when it came out in theaters. That's how dedicated I think my family was in general to Pokemon. So I got to witness all the coolest aspects of the franchise when it first came out, and I feel pretty grateful for that. You know, I think that's really special. A lot of my favorite childhood memories revolve around Pokemon, actually.
All right, then. Spencer, how about you?
So my first experience with Pokemon is pretty much past what Andrew just said. I started out with Gen 3. I think I would have been like, what, 2nd grade, I want to say?
2003? Yeah,
2002, 2003, yeah. Somewhere around there. That sounds about right. But I started with Pokemon Sapphire, and I distinctly remember that coming home with that box, because I think my dad and I went to like a GameStop to get it, and I like just begged him, just like, please, just let me have this, because I think I had recently gotten a Game Boy SP for Christmas.
The best
one.
And
the only game that I had at the time for that, the game that my parents got me along with that was a chess game that was modeled on Dexter's Laboratory. And now I'm forever stuck with Dee Dee yelling, check, in my head forevermore. So
Oh my God.
I wanted something else. I wanted something different, and I wanted to do some Pokemon stuff. But Mom was rather against Pokemon and everything. It's like monsters fighting stuff. It's like she just heard the words and was like, no, that's not, can't do that. Dad finally relented. It's like, okay, yeah, sure. Like I'm looking at the box and everything here. It's like nothing seems like really all that bad.
Yeah, like it's aimed at kids. Like I think most parents could tell back then.
And Mom was a little bit annoyed when I came home with it. However, to this day, the only reason that she let me keep it was just because everything was text-based, and she kind of realized, just looking over my shoulder, that I literally had to read everything.
Yeah.
And she's like, oh, okay, I guess this is helping in a way with that regard.
It's
and
just
also
like a
just
book.
looking over shoulder, just seeing like the battle sequence, just like, okay, this isn't anywhere near as bad as what I was thinking it was going to be. But yeah, no. Part of the reason why she let me hold on to Pokemon Sapphire was because everything was text-based.
All right, then. How about you, Drew? What's your story?
Well, I think I started technically first with Pokemon trading card collection. Actually, I wasn't like collecting it for like a competitive deck because I was a little kid, but I collected what was cool. And actually, there was a certain point where I wanted to collect. I wanted to catch them all, but in card form.
All right, then.
But after that, I mean, soon after I started playing the games as well, and I played the only generation that I haven't played is Gen 7. And I actually own one of them. I just never got around to playing it, and it honestly, it's the fact that it's not on the Switch, so I'm not going to play it now.
It's on the Switch
it's
came
on
out.
that outdated 3DS. I'm not playing that. But I would say so. Gen 1 is really, really nostalgic for me because I played a lot of that, and I actually ran into some of the glitches and stuff that people use nowadays for either fun or speedrunning. I actually ran into as a kid unintentionally just playing through the game, and I didn't really understand what was happening until much later on. That's kind of when I knew that Gen 1 is kind of jank, so that wasn't really intended for me back then as a kid. I was like, oh, that's really random. I wonder what that means. Running into Sinnoh on Cinnabar, I was like, yeah, what is this thing? And I'm like, oh man, I wonder what this Pokemon is supposed to be. And then I find out later it's just a legitimate glitch that isn't supposed to be there.
You discovered Sinnoh organically.
Yeah. No, as a kid,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, as a kid, I was trying to catch them all, and so I was on Cinnabar trying to catch, I don't remember, it was some water Pokemon that I was just like surfing up and down trying to catch it, and then I'd go like to the Pokemon Center or the Pokemart or whatever I needed to do if like I ran out of balls or if my Pokemon got damaged too much. And I was legitimately just going up and down Cinnabar, and then I ran into it and I was like, what the heck is this thing? But I was like, oh man, I got to catch it. But I never caught it as a kid, so I didn't get to like experience the full like game break of Sinnoh, but
yeah,
I ran into it and then found out later how catastrophic or like game changing it could have been.
Oh my god.
Yeah, it was crazy.
That's pretty cool.
So
I'm a little jealous that you got to experience that firsthand.
I just wish I had known what I had found back in the day.
Yeah.
But I played a lot of Gen 2 as well. Crystal was actually one of my favorites back in the day, but my Crystal copy actually got destroyed when I was a kid. It fell out of my pocket when I was getting into I was visiting my biological dad's, and it fell out of my pocket and it got run over by the truck. And I was looking for it all over the place. I was freaking out because I was a little kid. And then my stepbrother brings it in, and it's just this destroyed, smashed cartridge, and I was so heartbroken. Yeah, it was, and I've never owned a physical copy of Crystal since, so it's just in the past. I played
the real ones.
Yeah. I played Gen 3 a lot. Gen 3 Hoenn is really good. I enjoy that generation a lot. And Gen 4. So Gen 3 and Gen 4 are probably my favorite two, just because they were a little more polished, a little more fleshed out, but were back old enough that they still felt more like OG Pokemon than nowadays.
Right.
But that didn't stop me from kind of playing. I played through Gen 5, both versions. I played Gen 6, didn't play Gen 7, and I played Gen 8 pre-DLC. But another thing is that I also did watch a lot of the TV series when I was younger. I watched through, let's see, I think I started Black and White, but I didn't finish it. And then the movies I watched through, I think the first 10. I think Darkrai, is that the 10th one?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last one that I saw for movies. So I kind of experienced all of the different medium or media for Pokemon. And it's, you know, it's died out a little bit as I've gotten older, but I still definitely enjoy all of them to at least some degree.
What I think is kind of funny about Pokemon is that no matter how old you get, it seems like everybody generally experiences Poke fever whenever a new Pokemon game comes out. You know, like even if you've been away from the Pokemon franchise for like 5-6 years, as soon as another game comes out, like you notice, you're aware of it, and everybody's buying the game, so you're like, okay, well, I want to get it on the hype too. I want to have fun with everybody else. So you buy the game, you play for a little bit, maybe you don't get to the Elite Four, maybe you only get to the 3rd gym, but you played enough that you still get to talk about it with other people, and like, it's funny how despite growing up and becoming full-fledged adults versus really young kids when we all first experienced Pokemon, we still hold a special place for it in our hearts. It really isn't going to go away ever. Even if we eventually do stop playing the games, we're always going to think back fondly on Pokemon rather than it just being like, oh yeah, that was just another game I played out of the hundreds of games I played.
Yeah. So let me tell you boys my story.
Oh, here we go. Break out the popcorn.
This is the ongoing, never-ending story that is my love for Pokemon.
Yeah, real quick, Trey, real quick, before we jump into the story, can you turn down your mic and put just like a smidge? Just like a smidge. I think that would really help. I'm hearing a little bit of like static.
All right, how's that?
I think that's better. Okay, all right, you're Gucci now. Go on, regale us with your tales of being the penultimate Pokemon master who just, you know, everybody else pales in comparison to.
So yeah, Pokemon is literally, it started with the anime for me. I literally was there day 1, episode 1. Watched that episode, been hooked ever since.
You were there for day 1?
At least in America, as far as I know.
Well, I mean, like the first day 1, like the first episode, day 1.
Yeah, if I remember correctly, I watched episode 1 when it first aired on. I can't remember what channel it was on. It was either Kids WB or it was Cartoon Network, but it was one of those channels. Pokemon aired. I saw that episode and was in love with it ever since.
That's impressive.
Watched every episode of the anime. I collected a lot of Pokemon cards, like a lot. I'm really sad because it wasn't an original print Charizard, but it was like a secondary print Charizard that has like the original print of it, like that the very famous Charizard print that everyone is buying for millions of dollars. I used to have, I had one on a different, the card stock was different. It was like a promo card or something like that.
Oh, that sounds so nice. I bet it's worth a lot of money.
Oh, it got destroyed long ago because it was in my pocket. It was in my pocket one day, and it went into the wash.
All Pokemon cards.
Yep. So yes, everyone out there, pour one out because that card got destroyed, and then I tried to glue it back together because it was like, oh, my card. I like this card.
Oh, it's so sad.
But yeah, the only thing that I didn't get to experience was Gen 1 and Gen 2, the games, because I didn't have a Game Boy at the time, and it was just not something, I don't know why, but it's just not something my parents were gonna shell out money for. We didn't really buy a lot of games when I was younger. I had the Super Nintendo when I was really little, and I think it was a hand-me-down. It was most likely a hand-me-down. And then...
Nope, go ahead.
Yeah, and so... Yeah, I didn't get... My first Pokemon games were Ruby and Sapphire. And so those were my first games. It was like my 9th birthday, I got Ruby for Game Boy. And eventually I convinced my parents to get me Sapphire because I didn't know at the time that the games were version exclusive. So I would have to, because I was like, I want all the Pokemon, but I can't do that without getting both games. So I managed to convince my parents to give me the second game. And then I lost them. When I was little, I played basketball as a kid, but I would always bring my Game Boy because it would take a long time for us to get to where the games were, or I would play them afterwards. And I had it in a gym bag, and I left that gym bag somewhere, and I never saw them again.
Oh, no.
Yep. And so But eventually, my parents got me a Game Boy SP and Emerald, and so I played through Emerald. My absolute #1 games. Then I played through Fire Red and Leaf Green. Then I played through Diamond, Pearl, Platinum, Heart Gold, Soul Silver, Black, White, Black 2, White 2. Got robbed on my White 2 and my DS. I lost another DS with Heart Gold in it, so I had to buy another. My mom had a friend who gave her an old DS and I went and bought another Heart Gold.
Dang. So it's been a rocky road.
It's been a rocky road of me trying to keep all my games with me.
Damn.
Then I played my fever of trying to play all the games started to taper off when I hit college. So when X and Y came out, I played through Y because my mom surprised me for my birthday by sending me a 3DS and X and Y in the mail. And I called her almost crying because it was at college and I was just like, oh man, I'm not gonna be able to play this game for a bit. And it's like I can't remember if she sent me my DS from home because I think I had left it at home, and then she sent me the game copy. And I was like, oh mom, you are amazing. When I called her up on my birthday, half crying.
That's a pretty big deal. Like, that's a big birthday gift. Like, no matter who you are, getting a 3DS and a Pokemon game together for your birthday, like, that's like the wombo combo. Like, that's Christmas level present, not just birthday level. So. Yep.
Oh yeah, that's right. This was a new 3DS because my 3DS was the thing that got stolen the summer before.
To all those 3DS and DS thieves out there, like, you're gonna get what's coming to you. Because man, there's nothing more evil than stealing somebody's DS. Seriously.
Yeah.
You just don't, man. Like that's special.
Yeah, so I kept buying all the games. Like I think I had pre-ordered X at some point because I was still on the idea of I'm gonna play both games. But so I had X and Y. I rebought Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire because I wanted to officially play through Ruby and Sapphire. I did at some point manage to find both the original Ruby and Sapphire Game Boy cartridges when I was later on in life, but I just played the new games. And then we get to Sun and Moon, and I finally tapered off by saying, I'm only playing Moon. And then when they came out with Ultra Sun, Ultra Moon, I only bought Sun, Ultra Sun. And then I've only bought Shield for Gen 3.
Right.
Gen
I
8.
remember when Sword and Shield came out, Trey, both you and I went to the Best Buy in town at midnight to go pick up a couple copies. We hadn't pre-ordered ahead of time. We were just going to stand in line. And I agreed to get Sword, so you got Shield. And we pull into the parking lot at Best Buy expecting there to be like a line to get in. There's going to be cars. We're thinking about parking. The parking lot was empty. Like, it was just a wasteland. And we pull in, and I remember saying to you, like, well, maybe they're not open? Did we get this wrong?
Yeah.
Like we were talking about it, we were like, shoot, like, did we screw up? Do we have to go to a different store? Like, we hadn't really Googled it ahead of time. We just kind of assumed that the Best Buy in town was going to do a midnight release. So we were kind of worried. So we park and we walk up to the door, and the doors are open. The lights are on inside. So we're just like, okay, like, we're going to try this. We step inside, and yeah, there's employees at the front desk, and they're like, hi, what are you guys here for? We're like, Pokemon? They're like, oh yeah, here you go. They take out a freaking bucket full of copies of Sword and Shield and just said, how many you want? We're like, one each, we guess. They're like, all right, here you go. They tossed them our way. We paid for it. We were out the door in seconds.
Yep.
Like, I was laughing about them. I thought, like, man, it's kind of weird that there wasn't even, like, a line for it. They had so many copies. But I don't know. There could have been, like, a multitude of factors surrounding why that midnight release wasn't that popular. Because it's not that we live in a small town. We do, but, like, I remember when Smash Brothers came out at that same Best Buy, we Frank and I stood outside for like 45 minutes to get in the door. So Sword and Shield had its own things going on about it, which was interesting. But yeah, at the time I was just like, well, sick, we got our games, let's go play. I don't need to sleep. Who cares about work tomorrow?
Yep. Yeah. We went home and I booted up the game right away. It was so cool. Oh yeah, I also played Let's Go Pikachu, but I forgot to mention.
Oh, we don't talk about that.
No, dude, Let's Go Pikachu is really fun. Especially when you have the Pokeball Plus. Oh yeah, my scam story of me trying to buy the exclusive Let's Go Pikachu EV Switch.
Oh no.
I know the story. God,
I forgot about this.
I felt so bad for you.
What is this? I don't think I've actually heard this story.
Okay, so Let's Go Eevee and Pikachu were coming out with a special Switch. I didn't have a Switch yet, so I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy this version so I can have A, my own Switch, B, a unique Switch, and C, it'll have the Pokemon game with it. Plus the Pokeball Plus, the coolest controller to ever exist. But I got suckered by I was looking online for the Switch, and apparently the Switch was like sold out everywhere. So I'm just looking online, and I see a deal. And just the lizard part of my brain went, just do it. Just buy it. It might be a scam, but what if it isn't? But what if it isn't?
Lizard brain kicks in. The brain that convinces you to buy shit.
It is my brain.
And it's worse because they set me up so hard because they sent me everything I needed to track the package and everything. And it told me it got delivered, but it was delivered like in Minnesota or some bullcrap like that. Eventually, I'm just like, well, I know I got scammed. I kind of deserve this, but I still went through. My credit card company told them, hey, I got scammed. Can you do anything about it? They managed to reverse the charges on me, and I bought an official used one off of Amazon, and luckily that one wasn't a scam.
Well, you at least had the forethought to like use a credit card.
Yep.
Rather than using like any other form of payment.
Now, I didn't know that you managed to get your money back. So that makes the story much better. At least they were able to reverse the charges for you and didn't just like screw you over. So
yeah, no, that was lucky.
Okay.
I was like, I deserve to get scammed just because I was so eager, but I'm glad I got my money back, and then I had to spend a little more money just to get the thing I wanted still.
And you snagged the Pokemon Let's Go special edition of the Switch. You got the special edition controllers in the dock. So that is like, honestly, like that's lucky in itself. You know, even without the fraud thing happening, like there were many people who were clamoring for that specific model and couldn't find it after only a few weeks. Yep. And when did Let's Go come out? Was this wasn't early 2019? Was this like late 2019?
It was 2018. It was the end of 2018.
Man, time flies. But okay, makes sense.
So yeah, but yeah, my Pokemon story is ongoing and fraught with a lot of theft and loss, apparently.
Well, I mean,
I've also continuously watched the anime since episode 1. I have not stopped watching the anime, even through Black and White. Yes, Black and White is absolute garbage, and I still managed to get all the way through it.
I think Black and White's anime is really what killed me. Like, I did stick through Diamond and Pearl a little bit. I watched some Sinnoh League Victors here and there as it came out. Thought that was really cool. And that kind of hooked me back onto the show after being gone for, like, later half of Ruby and Sapphire's anime. But then Black and White, I hated his companions that Ash got stuck with. Like, I just didn't like him. And I hated...
what was it, his name? Silent or something?
Silent.
Yeah. I didn't really care for him. He seemed like a very just bland Brock replacement. I was fine with what was her name?
Oh wait, Iris. You were fine with Iris? Really?
I was all right with her, but at the same time, I just didn't care about the show at that point when we got into Black and White. Like, I remember watching. I started watching probably. Like really like watching like week to week back in like the beginning of the Hoenn era, but I do remember seeing some stuff from the Johto League I remember seeing some stuff from there. But as far as like anime was for me, like a little bit of early stuff from like Kanto, Orange Islands, Johto. I don't think I actually watched any one of them all the way through, but Hoenn onward, I watched everything. Mm-hmm. And then when we got to around Black and White, I didn't really care about Black and White.
Well, that is like that point. 2 generations
Plus, I didn't really,
later. You know?
Yeah, I didn't actually play Black and White either. Like the only games that I've actually played are I played Gen 1 via Fire Red. I played Gen 2 more recently via a Heart Gold, Soul Silver hard mode mod, and then I also played Crystal in college via a phone emulator, so I just played it in between classes.
I remember when you were really hooked on Crystal, actually.
Yeah, doing Crystal was fun, doing old school Crystal.
Yeah.
Then aforementioned Sapphire from way back when, then I also had Emerald as well. And then I had Diamond. And then I never did get Platinum.
Biggest regret of my life.
That was kind of where my like game story ended until Gen 6 with Kalos, when I bought that 3DS off of you, Andrew.
Oh, yep. Remember
and
that.
Then I played all the way through that, and that was fun. But then I also did get Sun. Or was it? Yeah, I did get Sun, but I didn't finish it because I don't know. I just wasn't. I didn't really care for like some of the changes that had been made.
Oh God, I'm so sorry for because the year Sun and Moon were out. I was so enamored with Sun and Moon and the Z moves that I thought you guys were loving the game too. So I remember buying you guys Z crystals for Christmas, and it was so cringe. Oh my God.
No, it wasn't
cringe. I
still
have those Z crystals.
Yeah, I still have mine too. Yeah, that was cool. No, man, there wasn't anything cringe about it. It was an awesome gift. I didn't expect it. I was like, oh, it's sick. And then I asked you what they were. I had to have you explain it to me. But after you showed me how it worked, I was like, oh, this is awesome. Thank you. So, nah, man, it was fine.
But yeah, so played through that a little bit, but didn't actually finish it. And then when the whole Sword and Shield debacle was happening, I just didn't bother getting it, which I have my own thoughts on that, and I think that the internet, as far as like the national dex, was just being just annoying because people don't really understand just how much of a logistical nightmare Pokemon is now.
Yeah.
Like supporting literally everything. Like they didn't do themselves any favors with like saying that they were trying to improve animations and then totally not doing that. But at the same time, I was firmly in the camp of I didn't care that they were moving away from the national dex and having literally every single Pokemon available. I actually quite liked the idea because from a technical standpoint, it meant that you could more focus on the mons that were in the game to begin with and all the new mons, and then actually make teams around that. And yeah, just like, come on, just give some love to the new stuff rather than just constantly bringing in your OP stuff from previous gens.
Yeah, that's my feeling on the whole subject as well. But I will point out some of the animations they created for their exclusive moves. Pyro Ball is probably the coolest animation I've seen Pokemon make ever, and I am happy for it.
Like, I hope sincerely that they continue to improve, because Pokemon animation in general is a story of just slow incremental improvements as far as like going from like generation to generation. Very early generations had some like big changes and stuff, and that would have required a lot of effort, but it was more reasonable because there just weren't as many mons at the time, so they were able to do that, which is kind of why Gen 2 has 2 regions and nothing else does that.
Yep.
But
there's a lot of discourse about, where's our game with all the regions in it? Where's our MMORPG style Pokemon game with Dark Soul mechanics?
They've been asking for that since like 2005. I mean, like, it could happen someday, but Pokemon doesn't need that.
No, it does not. It really does not. It will survive just fine without doing that. People will, once again, everyone said Sword and Shield's gonna flop because of no national dex. One of the top selling games on the Switch to this day.
The top selling games on Switch? Like Pokemon's one of them. So despite all the controversy around Sword and Shield, it sold incredibly well, and so did Let's Go.
Mm-hmm.
Part of that, I think, is just because Pokemon has that selling power, where even if people are going to gripe and complain, and they have issues with it, like they do with literally every game that comes out since, I don't know, ever, people are going to buy it.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. People are going to buy the game. So
yeah, you have to.
They can complain all they want.
If you're a big name game, like a big name studio, you have to flop really hard for it not to sell, well, a la recent stuff like Cyberpunk and whatnot, or going back further, like No Man's Sky, flopping hard. At least No Man's Sky, from what I understand, recovered eventually.
Eventually, I don't know if it was too little too late, though, but...
it was too little too late, but...
That was a debacle in
you have to flop pretty damn hard, like, for people to just completely give up on, like, buying the game, at least having some sort of enjoyment out of it.
Yeah. Speaking of the world enjoying Pokemon, were you guys a part of Pokemon Go Mania?
Oh yes, I remember that.
Yeah, for like a couple of weeks, and then I put it down.
I was part of Pokemon Go Mania for the first month it came out back in 2016. And I remember, like, Spencer, Matt, and we lived together that summer, so, like, we would regularly go on walks outside later in the evening after we all got off of work. And we'd just catch Pokemon for, like, 30 minutes to an hour. And it was pretty fun, but I hate to admit that possibly the biggest reason why I stopped playing Pokemon Go is because everybody else was playing it, and I'm too much
dirty hipster.
I'm too much of a hipster. I was like, oh man, this isn't cool anymore. Everybody else is playing it. So
the fact that literally everyone was playing it was the cool thing, because it's just like, wait, Pokemon on phones is what's driving everyone to do that? That was actually cool.
I don't know, I can kind of understand Andrew's stance. That's not necessarily the reason I quit, but I definitely see what he's saying.
Once I saw that, like, my boss at work was playing the game, I'm like, okay, I'm done with this. I was like, I'm too cool for this. I gotta find something else to play. I don't know, man. That's my own personal problem. Too afraid to have
like some level of engagement with your superior.
I'd rather just work and be done with it. I'm not there to make friends. I mean, like, okay, Neo Moriki like also mentioned something in the chat here. His battery would always die too fast for that game. That was a big problem early on. And I remember I went on a
battery killer. Oh my god.
Like, Ed and I, like, we also hung out later that month, and at one point we did go on a walk together downtown, and I brought like an Anchor external battery with me just to plug into my phone so it wouldn't die. And thanks to that, I was able to capture like a Gyarados at the time I was looking for.
Oh wow!
But yeah, you know, I my interest just fell off because I think it wasn't just that. It was that combined with the fact that like Pokemon Go was very simple when it came out. There weren't really battles. It was just capturing, and I could tell very early on that Pokemon Go had a different mentality to it. Like, it didn't play like normal Pokemon games. It took me a while to wrap my head around the concepts of like the candies and like how to level up and where to go to do like battles, like raid battles, I guess. You know, like there's I guess, what would you call it? Like, there's a strategy to it that's very different. And it
didn't take me very long to figure out how things were supposed to be working. The thing that ultimately stopped me from playing it was mainly the fact that trying to hold on to gyms was just an absolute pain and a half. Especially with cellular lag. Like, oh god. Like, that was just oof. That and also trying to find certain mods and also having to go near the the locations for the spin
oh
stuff.
yeah, the Pokestops.
It was because it was hard to like just go to all like over the summer when we were living together. Like there wasn't very many like nearby us. Like there was some stuff on the campus nearby, but that was about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And
right. We didn't have a lot of places to go to.
It ended up getting tedious after a while because the thing wasn't giving me the items that I needed. And I was determined not to devolve into like microtransaction hell.
Never give into the microtransactions.
Oh,
well, no, you don't have to go into the microtransactions. You just have to. I don't remember. So my coworker, when I was playing it, because we were working overnights, and we couldn't necessarily just leave the building and go to the Pokestops, and the pool of Pokemon around us was pretty limited. I don't remember if it was through a VPN or if it was some other app that he had added to it, but he literally would just go wherever he wanted, sitting in the control room. He had a joystick on Pokemon Go where he controlled where his character was. So I mean, that's all you got to do. You gotta beat the system.
Beat the system.
Yeah.
Oh, it reminds me of like things like
in New York.
There was like a video I think I remember of someone had like tied like a big like a sock with a string on it to their fan, and like they had that spinning around at a low speed to like stimulate like movement. I think it was one. Yeah, and that was just like, oh my god.
That's awesome.
Like people are trying everything that they can now after a while to not go outside and do what the game wants them to do. It's like, like if they had like been giving out more stuff at like those Pokestops to make it so that you didn't have to visit them so many times, I think it would have held on a little bit better.
Yeah, so there's a lot that's updated since that first summer. One quick message from Neo Mordecai, who is also actually Professor Shinobi, our good friend. Gyms were a weird territory war, but it did give us the whole meme of Magikarp at a gym.
Yeah.
But yeah, Pokemon Go has.
What do you mean meme? Magikarp is the best Pokemon.
Absolutely.
No, we're talking about buff Magikarp, absolute jacked Magikarp that the anime kind of made a thing very recently.
Wait.
Oh
what?
no.
Okay. Well, I was kind of memeing in saying that it wasn't a meme, but now it's not a meme. It's just actually, but it's a meme
real.
because it's not a meme. Oh no, this is like memeception.
Jacked Magikarp is gonna show up in your dreams tonight, Drew.
I'm just imagining this jacked Magikarp that actually has like arms and legs coming in, like the Guildmaster.
No, not the Guildmaster. Anyways,
coming in like that.
But yeah, Pokemon Go has managed to finally fix like 2/3 of the problems that existed when the game first came out, which is very good. It's like they've added all the new Pokemon. Almost every generation of Pokemon has now been added. For some reason, they skipped Gen 7 and went straight to Gen 8, which is very confusing and very upsetting.
Well, it's because Gen 7 sucked.
But they gave us one
because I didn't play it.
But they gave us one of the coolest mechanics that Pokemon's finally using to its fullest: regional variation. But let's go back a hot second. What are your guys' favorite games from the franchise? Like, it doesn't even have to be like mainline games. It could be like Stadium or
Pokemon Pinball.
Pokemon Pinball.
Well, dang, you beat me to the punch. No, Pokemon Pinball is really good. Actually, I would say it's my favorite. Heart Gold's my
I wouldn't
favorite.
either.
Pinball's good though. I ain't knocking pinball. Like any Pokemon fan worth their salt's got to play pinball at least once in their life.
Yeah, I played the Ruby Sapphire version of pinball, and I remember having
that's
a lot
the
of
one
fun
I
with
played a
that.
lot. So I played that a lot when I was in a cast, and I only had one hand. I had to like change the bumper controls so that I could play it one-handed.
Oh wow,
Beautiful.
Yeah.
I think the game that I like the most. Oh gosh, I remember playing a lot of Gale of Darkness.
Ooh,
I remember playing that a lot because I also had yeah, I also had the special edition GameCube that had like the Dark Lugia faceplate on it. It was pretty cool.
Oh, I'm jealous. So jealous. Oh, it's so cool. I didn't even know they made one.
Yeah, they did. It was great. Like I loved playing through Gale of Darkness. It was just a lot of fun. It was very different. It was a very different feel from what I was used to from playing on the handheld. So it's like, oh, this is great.
Nice, nice.
I'm trying to think. So pinball is definitely up there for me. It's probably in my top 5 for
totally
specific ones, the Ruby and Sapphire one. But I'm trying to think because a lot of it is gonna be nostalgia for me, and so it's gonna be tied. It's gonna be. I'm not sure if it's gonna be a mainline game, but it's maybe Platinum or Emerald. But ones that stick out to me are the first 2 Stadium games, and Puzzle League.
Ooh, Puzzle League.
Puzzle League was a lot of fun. It was difficult, but it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if I could pick a specific one from that grouping, but that's like kind of my group of favorites.
Yeah, that's really cool. Actually, so fake fan alert. It's like I played almost all of the mainline games, but I've played very few side games, some of which are because I didn't have the systems. Like I didn't have a GameCube, so I couldn't play any of those games.
I see.
I see.
Did you have a 64?
No, it's like I didn't have a GameCube. I didn't have a 64, so I played nothing. It's like all my games were either on the Game Boy. It's like the Game Boy Advance, my SP, or my DS, and they were all. And the only ones I really played were the mainline games, Ranger, and Mystery Dungeon. Those are
okay. Mystery Dungeon. I gotta throw that in there too, for my top.
I completely forgot about that. Yeah, Mystery Dungeon was legit.
No, seriously, I'd have to think which one is my favorite of the group.
Pokemon is a franchise where it's not just the mainline games that are genuinely good and worth talking about. There's so many spin-offs and I guess divergent series in themselves, like divergent lines of games that are very good. And think about it. Think about if you meet somebody who says that their entry point into Pokemon wasn't a mainline game, but it was like Pokemon Ranger. And
oh, I remember Ranger.
Broke every one of my goddamn screens. All of them were off center after I played one of those loop games.
Oh, that was so much fun. I remember Pokemon Ranger. I didn't play the sequels to it, but I remember the original Pokemon Ranger.
I think the first game I ever played was Pokemon Yellow, and that was my gateway into the because like I said earlier that I stood in line for Gold and Silver, but I didn't get to play either for the longest time. They were still my brothers, so Pokemon Yellow was something I really enjoyed. But it is interesting to think that there's plenty of people, probably way more people than I'm realizing out there, whose entry point to Pokemon was not a mainline game.
Mm-hmm.
So that's unique. That's something special about Pokemon as a franchise, because with Mario, a lot of people's first step into Mario would be a mainline Mario game. It wouldn't be Dr. Mario. It wouldn't be, a Mario puzzle game or something. But Pokemon is different. So that's what's unique. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, I think one of my top games, but that's not a main series game, is still going to be Pokemon Mystery Dungeons Explorers of Sky. Game was so good, so emotional. Everything about that was really good. And I'm so mad that I cannot find it right now.
Yeah, because everybody likes that game.
It's so good.
Yeah, I never got to play Explorers of Sky, but I remember when it came out, and everybody fell in love with it, so it's a highly coveted game now. Good luck finding it at your local GameStop.
The GameStop, I'm trying to figure out where the heck it is in my boxes at my house.
Oh,
I don't... I hope it's in a box at the house, otherwise I'm going to be very depressed.
It's probably somewhere. I've lucked out in discovering all of the old Pokemon games that were littered throughout my family's old house, and I've recollected all of them. I have them all in hand if I ever want to play them. But yeah, it's like they're small cartridges. They're easy to lose, really.
Yep.
What I wanted to ask was, what is everybody's favorite aspect of Pokemon? Like, what is it about Pokemon that appeals to you the most? And I'll give some examples here. Is it the battling aspect? Is it the exploration aspect? The collecting? The cards, the interactions you can have with other people, and how you could carry Pokemon on the go with you as a kid, keep it in your pocket. Like, what really enamored you the most about Pokemon? Because I think this is something that widely differs from person to person, and it's very dependent on your personality.
Oh yeah. Andrew, do you want to go first?
Whether you want to be right or wrong.
Yeah, I'll go first. Just to, right? Yeah, I'll go first as to set an example, because for me, what always really captured my interest the most with Pokemon and interested me the most was the collecting aspect of it. I'm actually one of those people who was mildly upset at the idea that the National Dex was no longer a thing. Because with every Pokemon game, I've always loved collecting as many as I could, because I loved filling out the Pokedex to say, look at this, look at how much I have, I'm better than you, because I have 400 some odd Pokemon, but I really enjoyed, looking for Pokemon, trying to figure out, okay, there's a spawn rate that only shows up at this hour of the day, or there's only a 5% chance it's going to show up. I want that. I wouldn't go so as far to collect shiny Pokemon, because I also had a life, but I definitely enjoyed filling out my Pokedex as much as I could. And that probably partially stemmed from the fact that growing up as a kid with an older brother who had way more Pokemon cards than I did, and he wouldn't share with me, I wanted my own. And it didn't just stop at collecting Pokemon within games. It also extended to the trading cards and the action figures. I wanted to have one of every Pokemon action figure. I wanted to have all 150 Pokemon in card form. Just that interested me the most was the collecting factor, because that felt like a journey and a game in itself. And it was part of the catchphrase of the franchise, for crying out loud.
Gotta catch them all, man.
Yeah. So that's my favorite aspect of Pokemon. That's really what enamors me.
What about you, Spencer?
It's kind of a hard question, really.
Yeah,
this takes a little bit of introspection to think about. What is it that really interests you the most? Because Pokemon's big, right?
Yeah.
Literally
I think
massive.
That when I first started out, way back when I originally started with Sapphire, I probably did enjoy the idea of going through and collecting all of the mons, and doing basically what the tagline said, and just catching them all.
It was easy.
Not necessarily about the National Dex, because I didn't really have the opportunity really to have someone to trade with a lot to get the game specific stuff. And
the hardest part of being a Pokemon fan, not having friends to trade with.
And then also just I had one friend who I was able to trade stuff with, and so I was able to get Sapphire and Ruby stuff that way.
Okay.
But as far as getting stuff from previous games via the Fire Red Leaf Green, from Fire Red Leaf Green, I don't think I did too much. I think it got to a certain point where I was fine with just completing the regional decks. I don't think I was ever really the kind of person that was yes, I am going to complete the national decks here now.
Sure, that's totally fine.
Later on, I feel it was more about just going through the battles and stuff. For me, is what I particularly enjoyed about it, and just kind of seeing what kind of story path had been laid out in the games that I played. Because I had gone through because I remember enjoying like the side games a lot, like Ranger and Gale of Darkness, as well as what was the other thing? Mystery Dungeon. I really enjoyed playing Mystery Dungeon.
Mm-hmm.
I remember getting Red Rescue Team, and then also having Explorers of Time. Like Explorers of Time was great.
Oh yeah.
From what I understand, like Explorers of Sky only just built on that.
It's the emerald of that series.
Yeah. But yeah, like I definitely enjoyed the side games a lot and just seeing what all was done with the franchise.
Yeah. Yeah, because the side games really like had their own unique factor they brought to the franchise. If you're looking for story with Pokemon, the mainline games might not actually be where you want to go.
Yeah.
There's other
Depends on
Pokemon
the
games
generation.
that offer.
Because I definitely remembered like it was a very like Pokemon games in general have just very like simple stories and stuff. But I do remember specifically Gale of Darkness like trying to like purify all the shadow Pokemon. I spent so long just trying to like get like the stuff just right in order to like purify like Shadow Lugia, like trying to make it so it's like, yes, this is the highest sync rate or whatever it was that I could possibly get on that. It's like, yes.
Yeah, Coliseum and Gale of Darkness, like purifying the shadow Pokemon, that was a challenge, and it was a fun challenge, and it was directly linked to the story itself. So like that was pretty interesting about it. I had a hard time picking between that and Heart Gold when Tre asked me like what my favorite game was, but yeah, like those games were a lot of fun.
All right, how about you, Drew?
Well, I mean, not to sound like I'm copping out, but I kind of like the variety, so I kind of like all of it, really.
Yeah.
I like that so it wasn't quite as varied maybe early on, like the first couple generations. They were more so about the story that was kind of going on with the Team Rocket, and then going through and becoming the master, and then catching them all, right? Whereas like later on, and especially once you get outside of the main series of games, there's a little more variability. So like one big thing I think of is Gen 3 with the contests. That's a new thing. That's something that's not been in the games before, where it's an optional thing that you can do, but you can go hard into it if you really want to.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what I liked about Pokemon, is that because the problem was the first couple generations were fine to, catch them all, because the number was kind of limited. It wasn't as overbearing on how many the number of Pokemon there were. But as the generations kept going and they just kept adding more and kept adding more, it became a little more daunting to try and consider catching literally all 900 Pokemon, So
Yeah.
as it became less of a feasible task to try and actually catch them all, it was nice to have new options to explore beyond just the plot and the battles. So I definitely enjoyed that a lot. And speaking again on the side games, I definitely enjoyed that variability, where if I wasn't feeling like playing a Pokemon game where it was just go through the story, go through the gyms, become the champion, battle, there were other games where you could have that very different aspect to the game. You had your Mystery Dungeon, which is, as I'm thinking about, one of my favorite series of the Pokemon games, and that had a very different way of utilizing Pokemon battles, because it used Pokemon moves, but the way that you did the battling was so different that it felt refreshing and new.
Yeah.
There was Pokemon Stadium, where you had the battle aspect was still in there in the stadium, but then there was the thing that Matt and I in college played a lot of this for the nostalgia. We played through the mini games all the time in Pokemon Stadium, and I enjoyed seeing the aesthetic of Pokemon in Puzzle League. Like I mentioned earlier, I really enjoyed Puzzle League. And then Pinball was just a Pokemon skinned aesthetic pinball game, but it had like some mechanics in it that lent itself to Pokemon so that it was still relevant to Pokemon, because you had to like evolve your Pokemon in pinball, you had to catch them when they appeared in the middle, etc. So I like that they have so many different things that you can do, so that if one thing either doesn't stand out to you as something interesting or loses its luster, then you still have something that's interesting.
Yeah,
right. There's
Pokemon's
still plenty of other stuff to be like to do. Really, like there's always something unique to do in Pokemon that maybe you haven't tried yet.
Exactly, and that's why it's also nice, because even just the variability of different Pokemon that you can catch in a team, like if you're talking about mainline games, lends itself to the different challenges, like a Nuzlocke challenge, like Tre's working on right now, or I've watched plenty of other YouTubers and content creators do Nuzlocks, and I've done Nuzlocks in the past myself, and different challenge modes that you can kind of implement on it is it's very interesting. It keeps it fresh, keeps it interesting. I like that a lot.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, plug. Tre's doing a Nuzlocke, and it's gonna come out soon, so be looking out for that. It's super fun.
It's like probably once I get through the second badge, I'll start. Hopefully I'll have all that edited and I'll start putting out the videos. But for my money, the thing that has kept me in the series is the lore. So when I was younger, basically throughout for all of Gen 3, all of Gen 4, and then Gen 5 as well, I had all of the guidebooks, all of the Pokemon official walkthrough guidebooks for going through those games. So I had a Diamond and Pearl book with the second volume with just Pokedex information. I had the Heart Gold Soul Silver book, the Platinum book, Black and White book, Black to White 2 book, I think. Yes, I think I had all of those books, those big giant books, and I would always be looking up information on Pokemon. And as I got older, and when the lore really kicked off in Gen 4, when they created God and gave us the idea of the creation of the Pokemon world with the creation quadrinity, basically, I just was like, researching and learning about Pokemon was something I fell in love with. And that's basically half of my YouTube subscriptions is Poketubers who like to look at lore in Pokemon design and all that kind of stuff. So so the lore, learning about it, understanding it, being able to tell it to people who don't care. Just to be like, I'm here to
harassing people with your massive tome of Pokemon lore. Did you know, like just walking up to somebody on the street, like, did you know that people eat Magikarps all the time in Pokemon? That's what Ash is eating in this one episode 452 of the original anime. You can see it right there. They're just like, whoa, man, I'm just trying to get to my haircut. It's like, did you know about all of this lore? Read it. Look at it! Look at it!
It got worse when Pokemon officially said, yes, we have a multiverse, multi-timeline situation here.
And then it all went downhill from there.
Whee!
So yes, I always love learning things. Like, that's my whole thing, is that I am a fountain of useless knowledge. But Pokemon takes up a good chunk of that.
That's totally fair. You know, like I feel the same way too about the lore. Is that it can pull you in, and I mean, Pokemon on the surface and many levels deep, I mean, it's very fun and childlike and it's innocent, but there's building blocks to that universe, and it's really interesting to see, like, okay, what lies beneath the surface here? Like, how deep can we go? Like, Pokemon has a lot going on in it that many people take for granted. So
I mean, you only have to look at some of the Pokedex entries and some of the books that can be found throughout the worlds.
Yeah. Yeah, the Pokedex
like,
really
there's a what
that.
now? There's a this? Wait a minute.
Yep.
I think one of the big things that like for Pokedex entries that really sticks out to me is Drifloon. Like,
yes,
that is one of the ones that like that will haunt me forever, knowing that that there is legitimately just a Pokemon out there that abducts children. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, that is
Like
pretty
that.
terrifying. I'm surprised that actually made it into the game itself.
Literally every ghost Pokemon Dex entry is made for making it creepy. Drifloon kidnaps children. If you look underneath a Mimikyu's robe, you'll die. Litwick eat your soul energy to burn their candles. Dust Noir is a black hole to the afterworld.
What the? I did not know that last one. Good gracious.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. I mean, it is really the ghost Pokemon that are the ones that stick out for that kind of crazy lore. But I mean, some of the other ones do as well have. I mean, harkening back to Generation 1, like Cubone, man. That's another one where it's like, oh my goodness, that's so sad. You know, it's literally its mom's skull that it's wearing.
Yeah. With Drifloon, like, I also thought it was extra creepy how, like, the developers of Diamond and Pearl went out of their way to include, like, an in-game kind of, like, let's call it a mini event. Where
it's a mini event, yeah.
Yeah, where if you went to, like, what was it, like a power plant?
The Valley Windworks. Like, at least on a Saturday. You had to go on a Saturday afternoon. It was Friday.
It was Friday? Okay, I'm screwing this up already. But you had to go at a specific time, like later in the day, and a Drifloon would show up there. And I'm not talking about in the grass looking for it. No, the sprite itself would just appear outside there, and you could walk up to it and press A, and you'd interact with the Drifloon, and you could fight it and capture it. That was incredibly rare. Pokemon doesn't do that very much. At least it didn't back then. You typically only would run into legendaries like that. There's a couple instances where, like in Heart Gold Soul Silver, you could run into the Red Gyarados at the Lake of Rage like that. But Drifloon had its own mini event. And if you killed it in that battle, I don't think it'd show up again until like the following week. But,
it would respawn every week, but it's like if you killed it once, it'd be dead. You would have to wait for another one to float on by.
That would just add to the creepy factor of it. Like, it doesn't help that the Valley Windworks was also near a forest. So,
there's like, once again, there's a lot of fun, creepy lore in Pokemon. There's a lot of deep philosophical stuff in Pokemon. It's honestly always mind-blowing whenever I watch a YouTube video from a Poketuber who talks about, so especially during Halloween, because that's when you always get the, okay, so if you didn't know this from Pokemon, here's some random Pokedex entry from this game that tells you that this Pokemon will eat your soul because it loves you, or some random stuff like that.
Love? Cake won't save you from my love, Puddin'.
All right. So just to double check, where was everyone's last like solid knowledge of Pokemon, so I can just go on my mini update rant for you people?
Gen 4. I dumped literally 800 hours into Gen 4, and after that I kind of fell off. So yeah, that's kind of where my knowledge ends.
My knowledge generally ends at 4, but I did play through Gen 6, so I at least know a fair amount of Gen 6 stuff.
Okay, and Drew?
The only one that I'm not solid on is 7 because I didn't play it.
Okay, so let's start with Gen 5. Gen 5 is possibly the best Pokemon writing in the main story games. It probably has
agree with that.
It has
definitely it's got the definite best writing. And people will complain about the Pokemon designs, but screw you. They made 156 new Mons without including anything from the past. They burned through a lot of ideas, and they were some of these designs are top tier. But
I think that's kind of the problem, though, is that they used up too much of it and did it too, like, doing it all in one generation kind of made some of them lackluster.
It could be considered Gen 5's highest point and lowest point simultaneously. Like, it was definitely gutsy of them to do it. I respect the team for what they thought, in concept. It's just, most of us did not actually want 150 entirely new Pokemon. And that is partially where the issue of the National Dex started to, like, rise. Like, oh man, we have to do a lot of programming, and suddenly it's much, much harder for people to capture literally every Pokemon because there's 600 of them now.
Yeah. So yeah, in Gen 5, we've got some of the best story, some of the best character creation. So N, honestly, one of the best anti-heroes I've ever seen in a Pokemon. Well, in general, but like N is such a good character. Then we've got just the creation, like battle mechanics wise, they created hidden abilities. So now some Pokemon who have terrible normal abilities could learn some really game-breaking stuff. Mm-hmm. And then just the box art legendaries, Zekrom and Reshiram. We have the Red Eyes Black Dragon and the Blue Eyes White Dragon for your...
Yeah, they're both kind of like two sides of one coin. It's
and it was cool. Right. We're talking about dual monsters.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's dual monsters.
Yeah.
And then Gen 6 created probably the biggest fan favorite mechanic ever that Pokemon just says, oh, you like that mechanic, don't you? Oh, that's a little too bad. Mega Evolution. Oh my god. Mega Evolution is still everyone's fan favorite thing. People still will make fan art for future Mega Evolutions that will never happen at this point. But God, was Mega Evolution cool, but it also complicated the Pokemon timeline by saying, yes, there's the original timeline that has no Mega Evolution, but there's also this timeline where there was a Great War 3,000 years ago.
Holy crap.
That created a super death weapon that when it was fired, it split the timeline.
What? What?
Yep.
Okay, so now we've got like an Ocarina of Time situation where there's like a central focal point and it's split off into two directions, and now we're wondering which timeline we're in with each respective game that comes out.
Yep. Especially since there was a tweet that went out years ago around the time of X and Y where someone said, so if you're following the Pokemon timeline, it would be that Gen 1 and Gen 3 happen at the exact same time. Then Gen 2 and Gen 4 happen at the exact same time, 3 years with a 3-year gap between them. And then Gen 5, the first ones, Black and White, happen some random amount of time after Gen 4/Gen 2.
Of course.
And then 2 years later, we get Black 2 and White 2. Also, Gen 5 was the first generation to give us direct sequels to a game, which was really cool.
It was also kind of necessary because they polished up some of the issues that the first two had.
Oh yeah, that's what advanced games do. But we were expecting Gray, but we got Black 2, White 2 with actual story progression improvements.
Yeah, like also like they weren't gonna call it Pokemon Gray. Like it's just too on the nose.
I mean, you never know. Because and then X and Y they say take place 2 years after X. It was either they said that Black 2 White 2 takes place at the same time as X and Y, or that X and Y takes place 2 years later. Can't remember the numbers now, but they had to delete that tweet because it's like, you're giving credence to our timeline. We need it to be as vague as possible.
Well, also it makes it so that Ash can't be 10 forever.
No, the anime ignores all that bullcrap. What are you talking about?
The anime doesn't give a shit.
The anime is its own timeline.
Exactly.
Ash is in a coma and he's just hallucinating all of this.
But yeah, X and Y gave us Mega Evolution, a split timeline. But yeah, that was the big development for Gen 6. Gen 7 gave us a slight shift up in how things are done. We got Alola with the island vibes, which was really nice, honestly. I honestly did enjoy the trial system. It wasn't much different from the gyms, but it also created the fun thing that is Z moves, because I always like performing the Z moves while playing the game.
I do want to say we got robbed of Pokemon Z. That should have happened.
Yeah. Oh yeah, 100% robbed of Pokemon Z, the sorest subject of Pokemon fans, because the XYZ anime, the XYZ season of the anime was so good, and they had so many things that we could have had brought in for Pokemon Z, and they didn't give us Z.
I'm going to interject and say that I did watch some of the XYZ stuff, and it was just epic. It was just like, oh my god, this is amazing. And I am also forever salty that they made Ash lose the Kalos League, and then they're just like, oh, he'll win the Alola League. It's just like, no, this was nowhere near as good. Give him the Kalos League, damn it.
Yeah.
I didn't see Kalos League. What were some highlights?
This man used a Greninja to beat a grass type.
What?
It's so good.
Lost to a fire type. This is
what?
So in the semifinals of the Kalos League, which was so good, one of Ash's rivals used a Mega Sceptile, which is a water and dragon type, and Ash beat him with his Ash Greninja, the special Greninja that Ash got to use that basically makes it look like Greninja did the fusion dance with Ash, and now they're synced up.
Yeah, he's got like a different color swap. I've seen it before.
Yeah, and Ash was able to beat that Sceptile with this Greninja. But then when he fought in the finals against Alon, cool dude, by the way, guy was able to beat so many Mega Evolutions with his Mega Charizard X. But Mega Charizard X is a Dragon and Fire type, and in the end, Greninja couldn't beat him. It was so close. Came down to the last Mon, but that Blast Burn just killed Greninja before his Super Water Shuriken could hit him. And it's just like, well,
yikes.
There goes another league.
I mean, at least it sounds like it was a close battle.
Like, the entire season was just all kinds of hype, especially with Zygarde and like battling the bad team of the region. I'm blanking on the team's name.
Team Flare.
Yeah, Team Flare. Like, it was all just hype. It was all hype, and then the league was just hype all the way up to the end. It's like they've got so much hype. This is going to be it. He's finally going to, and they didn't do it.
Yeah,
it's like
they also burned through a lot of the fights. Like, they skipped over 2/3 of what the league competition was supposed to be, because there was literally like over 100 people in the competition to begin with, and the second episode of the league was Ash getting his way into the semifinals.
Yeah,
we didn't even see his quarterfinal match, so it's just like, wow, thanks Kalos League. You gave us some good episodes, but you were short.
Yeah, no, I still maintain that they copped out the next season where he won the Alola League. It's like, yeah, he's now a champion. It's like, oh, this was nowhere near as good.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the hype's already died down by that point. It feels just a little bit too late.
It doesn't help that it's like, oh yes, the season after the hypest season ever is the one where he won. It's like, I would have forgiven it a little bit more had they kept with it then, and it's like, okay, then he loses one as well, and then the next one he'll go in. So it's like a little bit of a buffer zone between the super hype one and the one where he actually wins.
Right. Yeah. And Sun and Moon is where the anime changed visual styles for a while, right?
Yep. It changed visual style, which I didn't really have a particular problem with.
Yeah, me neither. Personally. I thought it was appropriate for the theme.
It's just, I also, it just kind of goes back to the problem of just Ash being Forever 10. It's like, oh yeah, you have basically nearly won these leagues across multiple different regions. Like, you are clearly a very, like, good trainer. Like, you went through and just like saved a whole bunch of worlds, and it's like, go back to school. It's like,
it wasn't that. So when Ash gets to Alola, he just he decided it'd be fun to, because his mom won a vacation, to go to Alola for a little bit. So he was just there. He was there to be on vacation / drop off a Pokemon egg to Professor Oak's cousin, Professor Samson Oak,
who is literally Professor Oak.
With a deep tan. But
very deep tan, yes.
But Ash was like, you know what? It'd be fun to stay here and explore Alola. Then he learns about Z moves, and then some of the trial battles are really cool because they give Ash a different type of battle sometimes. Like, one battle, it was literally a 3-on-1 match where Ash could only use one Pokemon, and he chose to use his Lycanroc up against the dark type Kahuna Nanu. Stuff was intense. And some of the battle, like, I will admit the goofy style was a little hard to adjust to, but the show had a lot of heart. Like, Alola was a home. Alola was the home that Ash needed. Because we got basically his real, he got a father figure in Professor Kukui. He got a second mother with Professor Burnett, and we later find out that they had a kid, and he's basically that kid's big brother now.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, so Ash basically got to feign some chance of a normal life for once, versus just always traveling and always on the move. Like, he got to stay at one place and just like explore a different lifestyle of Pokemon.
Yep, Alola is just so homey. If you guys haven't seen the Alola anime, I do highly recommend you check out because they've done some fun stuff.
I look at it this way: Brock and Misty came back for like 2 episodes, right?
They came back for 2 times actually. They came back for one episode where Ash went to Kanto, and then another episode where Brock and Misty go to Alola to visit him.
That's all I need. I'll take it. I'll watch the show. I honestly just to see his 2 by far best companions show up again. This is enough for me. That's all I want at this point. I don't want him to travel with anybody else but Brock and Misty. Like, I know that's close-minded of me, but dang it, I miss those guys. Just Misty always being on Ash's case, and Brock just like always being best girl of the show. Like, man, it was such a good time with those 2 around.
Who doesn't love jelly donuts, man?
At least Brock stuck around until like the end of Gen 4. They brought him back, thankfully.
Yeah.
So,
but yeah, Gen 7 did a lot of changes and a lot of fun things, but it also created the problem of not only a multiverse of timelines, but a multiverse of parallel worlds, because the games introduce the Ultra Beasts, which are alien Pokemon from other dimensions.
Now that is where I officially think I fell off of Pokemon. Like, I really had no idea what was going on anymore. The second I saw a muscular mosquito Pokemon, I was just like, oh yeah, what?
You don't like Buzzwole?
No, I'm just like,
I knew nothing about Gen 7 either.
Checking out of the Pokemon Hotel, packing my bags, left the key card on the table. I'm done.
I will say the one thing that keeps me like motivated to look into Alola is the Alolan regional Pokemon, because I just saw an image of it fly by on the YouTube, and it was Alolan Exeggutor, and that thing will make me crack up every time I see it.
I love Alolan Exeggutor so much.
That is funny.
You have no idea. When you see that thing in Pokemon Go, you die I die instantly every time. It is the glorious long neck of this Exeggutor kills me every time. Yes.
I'm happy they threw long neck Exeggutor into Super Smash Brothers as a Pokeball as well. That was super funny. You literally cannot jump over that thing.
Unless you're like Kirby.
Yes. Unless you can fly.
It's a very, very tall boy.
Yeah, so regional variation is the flavor of the month that Alola introduced that has been kept around for Gen 8. With Sword and Shield, the anime is doing something very cool but very weird, where Ash is he's still battling, but he's not taking on the Galar Gym Challenge. He's doing what is essentially the Pokemon World Tournament series, where he has to win enough battles to earn his way into what is called the Masters 8, where eventually the 8 best trainers in the world will compete in a big final tournament.
Yes. Give it to me.
Okay.
I want it.
So maybe in the meantime, actually get some retribution against some of the people that beat him in previous tournaments, maybe.
Oh yeah, possibly. We'll see how well, because the Pokemon company's callback memory is fuzzy at best, because they have brought back some interesting things, like one of Ash's first battles in this tournament series, like just one of his first. Okay, I want to get my rank up. Who's my first opponent? Was someone who was working at Lieutenant Surge's gym. Like, it wasn't Lieutenant Surge himself, but he battled someone who's been hearing stories of Ash from when he beat Lieutenant Surge with his Pikachu.
Wow. Wow, that is long ago. That's very selective. Interesting.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool characters that are being brought back. So And of course, they still are introducing Galar stuff. Like last season, they did some of the plot lines from Galar, including the Darkest Day arc, where we got to use Sword Doggo and Shield Doggo to defeat Death Space Dragon Hand thing.
I would like to see him go up against Cynthia. Like, I think it'd be cool to see that again.
There's a high chance that's gonna happen.
What was the name of that trainer that Ash knew back like early on, like Gen 1
Richie?
and 2? The dude had like the Pikachu with the spiky hair.
Richie? Oh, he's never coming back.
I want Richie. Give me Richie.
Yeah, Richie with his Pikachu Sparky.
Do it then, Pokemon Company, you cowards. Give him to me. He's the trainer we always needed.
Richie didn't even show up.
Does he show up in Pokemon Chronicles, that like side series anime that had like the main character from Gold and Silver in it?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
He definitely. But like Richie showed up in the Johto series. He showed up in the Johto series, but he didn't show up at the Johto League, which means he has lost the time now.
Alas.
I mean, he's like the version of Ash where you actually do nickname your Pokemon.
Yes.
Yeah. Therefore, he's just instantly better all around.
I mean, really.
I mean, what was the point of Ash even going there? He didn't win either, so it doesn't make him that much better than Richie.
He did beat Gary.
He did beat Gary. That's true. Gary is an interesting character. We haven't talked about him yet. Like he's not unlikable anymore. Does he show up in any of the later anime seasons?
He's going to be showing up in Pokemon Master's Journey, the current season of the anime. He has already in Japan. I don't know if the dub has gotten there yet because one of the many updates for Pokemon was that it moved from Kids WB to Cartoon Network, and then it moved from Cartoon Network to Disney XD for Sun and Moon, and then after that, it moved to Netflix. And in case you guys don't know, I hate how Netflix puts out anime. Yeah. I hate them with a fiery passion.
They don't do it weekly, do they?
Nope, they do not.
They are slowly doing it, apparently, because the two new anime this season are Blue Period and Komi-san Can't Communicate. They're doing weekly.
Oh, thank goodness.
Oh, they are?
Oh, yep. Thank goodness. I actually really want to watch Komi-san. Thank goodness they're doing that weekly. I didn't know.
Is that where Komi-san is? Is Netflix?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yeah. But okay, good to know. Because like early on in the original anime, Gary's like a jerk. He is your rival you're supposed to hate. He eventually gets redeemed. I think that the focal point where Gary stopped being a jerk was when he got raffle stomped by Mewtwo.
He calmed down, but when we saw him again at the end, right before the start of Johto, he still trounced Ash with his Eevee, and then he was a lot more calm, cool, and collected because he wasn't rolling around in that stupid Ferrari with the cheerleading section.
What are you talking about? I love those guys.
That was the best part.
Yeah.
Gary, he's our man.
He can't feed us. No one can. That screwed that up.
That was the only reason I liked Gary.
I like it was super cool though to see like the anime didn't have to do that where he fought Mewtwo, and that was like a direct tie into the movie, therefore making the first movie canon to that original run of the anime. I don't know if they show it in the anime first or if they show it in the movie first.
It was the anime.
Okay, cool. And I believe in the anime it's a much longer fight. Whereas in the movie, it's just like a short clip where you can clearly see his Arcanine getting like totally just raffle stomped.
Yep.
You know what? Can we talk about movies?
Okay, we can talk about some movies because obviously Pokemon has had a movie every year it has existed except for like it's had 25 movies I think. No, we're only on movie 23, so they skipped a year at some point.
Okay. Well, they'll catch up, I'm sure.
Yes.
A lot of movies to pick from. What is your guys' favorite movie? I guess we could start there.
Well, I can already say that. Number 3.
Yes.
Silent Hill for kids. Movie. Silent Hill for kids, everybody.
3 is the most it's the deepest one out of all of them. It's the one that's the saddest. and has a lot of like interesting themes to it. Really, it's about this little girl who, as far as she knows, both her parents are gone, and she is coping with it through the power of the unknown. Like, she's essentially lying to herself that her mom and dad are still there with her. And it's terrifying to see what happens out of that. The ice that surrounds the castle is in that literal metaphor for her pushing people away because she doesn't want to get hurt anymore.
Yeah.
It's the craziest thing. It's so sad.
It's really good. Look, once again, whenever I do my list, I always keep 1, 2, and 3 basically at the top. There's very few that are comparable enough to even dethrone them. Like, only recently has that happened where I'm like, maybe this can dethrone it. It's not going to, but it has a very strong chance.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, as far as like the movies go, I think like I enjoy 1 through 3 or 1 through 1 through 3 is the best. 4 and 5 is still pretty good. 6, 7, 8, and 9, where it's all like the Hoenn stuff, is still pretty good, but there's like, it feels like something has changed in the storytelling. It's still good, but there's you can definitely feel a change in the storytelling. Yeah. And then the Sinnoh ones, it's like
they did
10,
something
11,
different
12.
They did something
10, 11,
different
12,
with the
yeah.
Sinnoh movies. They made it into a trilogy, right?
Yeah.
An actual trilogy where there's connective tissue between all 3 of those movies.
What was it? I think it was in 12, the Arceus movie, where it's like Ash like sees Giratina again. It's like, Giratina, do you remember? He's like, wait a minute, hold the phone.
There's continuity.
You remember a Pokemon?
He remembers something from a Pokemon movie. There's actual continuity here. Oh my god, it's never happened.
Yeah, like going back and seeing those movies again, it's like they're still good, but they're a lot shorter and they feel a little thinner than earlier movies. Yeah. And then past that, I didn't really watch all that much. Like all of like the black and white ones, like I watched them. I really didn't care about them, honestly.
As you shouldn't.
Yeah, rightfully so.
They were rather bad, honestly. Also, I can not for the life of me understand why they made 2 versions of the Victini movie. Is like, wait.
Hey Spencer, I got a secret for you. Money. It's money.
Money.
For money.
Who doesn't like money?
Thankfully they didn't do that again. And then I haven't seen any of the movies past I think it was like Genesect.
Yeah, Genesect was the last black and white one.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
like I haven't seen anything past that. I haven't seen any of the Kalos movies. I didn't see the I Choose You or Power of Us stuff.
Was that movie the beginning of another timeline, Trey?
Yes, this is what we call the. This is what the community I think is called. It's calling the I Choose You line, but it's basically just an alternate telling of Ash's journey. That way they don't have to keep continuity. They don't have to keep continuity with the anime at all. They don't have to use any of the other characters besides Ash in these movies.
Let's just make all 23 movies their own timelines. We got 23 timelines. Yeah, let's go.
Yeah. So as far as like the movies are for me, like early movies definitely the best up through the Hoenn movies. Like that's my bread and butter, especially the first 5, I think. Yeah. But it also has, that's also before like they must have changed like art style. You can definitely tell the difference in just overall aesthetic going from Latios and Latios and then going into Jirachi and having the Hoenn animation style. Like it is very stark.
Yeah, there's a lot of changes that happen there, including basically a loss of budget because I think all movies after Heroes, the 5th movie, were straight to DVD, at least in America. So.
Yes. Yep. I vividly remember that happening where it was difficult for my parents to find a movie theater that was playing Pokemon Heroes so they could take me to go see it. Because at the time the movie came out, like, we were moving from overseas back over to America again. And when we had left overseas, the movie had already finished airing in American theaters about a month prior, where it typically takes about 3 months for that movie to come to an overseas theater at a military base. So we had left before it came to where we were living in South Korea, and we had come to Nebraska where it had already been done for like a couple months at least. So my dad had to like take me to the military base theater where they somehow still had one showing left of Pokemon Heroes. And I remember as a kid watching the movie thinking, this isn't as cool as the previous 4. Yeah. Like, it was still cool. I enjoyed it. Yeah. My dumb butt actually really was into the whole like Ash Latias like relationship. I'm sorry. I just thought it was really fun. I thought it was romantic in a way. I thought it was like interesting.
I mean, he was just taking after his mom. With this.
Oh my god! Stop it! Stop it!
Oh, no. But what I'm trying to say is that, yeah, like after that movie came out, I vividly remember the 6th one, and I was super hyped for that. Like, I knew it was coming out because I've been paying attention to like the games and the anime and the advertising on the internet. Like, I knew there was a 6th movie coming, so I begged my dad to like look at the theater and try to get us tickets. And he couldn't find it, and then I kind of found out on my own that it was just coming straight to DVD, and I was massively disappointed by that. Like, I was like, but why? It's Pokemon. Like, we've never had this happen before. Why are they saying straight to DVD? And then that just kind of became a trend. And at the very least, I told my dad when the movie would come out in DVD so he could go to Walmart and buy a copy like day one, right? Mm. Then they stopped stocking Pokemon movies on day one at my local Walmart after like around Lucario and the Mystery of Mew.
Oh, wow.
That's why I don't own that movie, is because the Walmart didn't have it. And they didn't have it on day 1 or day 2 or day 7 or day 35. They just never had it. So I never got to own it. And after that, I just fell off of Pokemon movies. So
yeah, if I remember right, I watched a lot of the Hoenn stuff. I think that was on Cartoon Network. I think.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Cartoon Network basically got the airing rights to all the movies at one
on Cartoon Network, and then the first 5 movies I watched on VHS or disc from Blockbuster, I think.
Blockbuster.
That's a throwback.
That's Blockbuster.
That definitely dates all of this.
Yeah.
When the 4th movie came out, though, when I was living in South Korea, I did have a poster of it put up in my room, Pokemon Forever. And that was pretty cool. You could say that Pokemon Forever is darker in tone and aesthetic than the 3rd movie, but it has a massive cop-out in the end, which kind of, it sets it below the prior 3 because of that.
Yep.
It's too bad because, you got to see a lot of cool things in Forever, such as the capsule ball.
Yep.
And Professor Oak as a kid met Ash, and they were best friends as kids, and Professor Oak knows this.
Yeah, he's realized it after all those years. It's like, wait a minute.
Oh my god.
Oh.
The kid that you've been training. No wonder Professor Oak has such a high investment in Ash. It's because they were friends. That's so
Which
cool.
is really, really cool.
Yeah. I love it, man.
Something interesting you guys don't know about is in the Sun and Moon anime, Ash did another time travel trip where he went back in time and met young Professor Kukui and basically set Professor Kukui on his path to becoming basically the battle expert that he is.
Good gracious. Man, Ash is just the, I don't know what to say. He's creating his own timeline at this point. He's like Fry in that one episode of Futurama.
How about these cookies?
Oh no. Drew, what's your thoughts on Pokemon movies?
It's hard for me to say that the first 3 aren't my favorite 3. Because I just feel like they're the best, done. They're the most well done in what they were trying to go for. But I'm gonna ignore those three because for me, those three are like, that's just too easy to say. So trying to look at the other ones to see what I guess number 4 would be. I would say it might be Heroes, just because that one I watched a lot as a kid, because I had it on DVD, and I just really liked the aesthetic, and the story was fine. It's a Pokemon movie, so like keeping expectations to that level, it's not going to be like a blockbuster, like, oh my goodness, this plot is so amazing. But it was fun and interesting, and the like, I mean, barring the whole like, are we shipping Ash with Latias thing? I mean, I thought the interaction with them was interesting. I thought like him having this connection with both of them eventually was pretty cool. So I liked Heroes a lot. 4 was a lot of fun too, just because of the whole thing with Professor Oak. I like that a lot. But I'm trying to think. Deoxys was actually one of my favorites as well.
Hamburgers.
Yeah, hot dogs. Yeah, dude, the hot dog machines. I'd never been so hungry for a hot dog in my life.
Dude, I know, right?
The aesthetic of that city.
Munchlax running around everywhere is like,
Oh, Munchlax, yeah. Yeah, I remember Munchlax like falls into the ocean, and Max is like, "No, Munchlax!" And then he evolves into a Snorlax. and I was just, as a kid, I'm just like, "Oh my god, I've got goosebumps!" That was the coolest thing. Why was it so cool?
Yeah.
So on a side note, I was just looking. It looks like this is the only year that they haven't done a movie. Japan released 2021 is the year that hasn't had one yet.
Yeah. Okay.
And since we're getting towards the end of it, I don't think we're probably going to have one in time. So this might be the year that skipped.
Yeah, one of the years that skipped because of the thing that we could have totally avoided, but the world's still ending anyways.
Yeah, it is what it is.
Looking at it, there was no other year with a Japanese release skip, unless you count like before 98.
Right. Because it took some time.
I don't know when. Yeah, I don't know when Pokemon originally aired in Japan, because it was 98 in America, but 98 is the year that the first movie was released.
It was 97 when it originally aired.
So that would be the year that it was also skipped. But
yeah.
Ever since they put out a movie, this is the only year that's been skipped. Is 2021.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. That makes sense.
So, just to prove how big of a dork I am. Last year during lockdown, I decided that I would watch every last Pokemon movie, because Pokemon TV, the Pokemon streaming app that just will have a collection of random episodes every week, they would put on every movie except for the ones they don't own anymore. They don't have exclusive rights to, because Pokemon 4, 5, 6, and 7 are locked behind Miramax. So the Pokemon Company, for whatever reason, does not have the rights to use it, or just choose not to use it because they don't want to deal with the red tape.
So 4, 5, 6, and 7?
I think I remember you doing that with those movies.
Yes, I went online because I was frustrated by not being able to watch the movies. So I went on Amazon and bought the 4-disc, the 4-movie collection. So now I have all 4 of those movies, so I can watch them at any time. But last year during lockdown, I decided I decided to rewatch every movie. So I watch it once a week. I would watch one of each Pokemon movie in order until I got to the very end, and the Pokemon TV app basically gave me all the movies that because I only officially own the first movie on tape, the second movie on DVD, and then 4, 5, 6, and 7 on DVD. The rest I don't have.
Got you.
So
okay. Yeah. So that makes sense. Like, I would have loaned you some of mine, but you pretty much had all of mine by that point.
So yeah, I watched all of them on Pokemon TV as they came out, and I was just slowly reorganizing and rethinking about my Okay, which ones are actually my top favorites? Because my list has always been 1, 2, and 3 are in my top 3 with the numbers shifting around each time I watch the movies. Then it would be like 10, 9, 8. So Darkrai, Manaphy, and Lucario. Those 3 movies will always fall in next because Darkrai was so good of a movie. It was such a good movie.
I have not seen it yet. I've seen clips of it, and it did look good.
Darkrai was good.
I liked how they made the movie like a redemption for Darkrai.
Yes. It's like it gave us an anti-hero in Darkrai, and it's just, it was a really well done movie. 9 gave me like, it just hit me in the feels because Manaphy was the relationship between May and Manaphy just hit my heart so hard. The only reason people probably don't like it is because that's when the voices were changing. So there was a lot of people who just fell off the anime.
Yeah,
and
me included. I had a really hard time. I came back to the anime later, but that was after years because as a kid, I was incredibly actively upset about the voice changes.
When I heard the voice changes, I assumed, oh my god, they're making Ash older. It's finally happening.
It's not, and that's not a bad way to look at it. I think probably a lot of kids felt that way, because his voice did sound deeper. I didn't like it. That's all there was to it. But it was okay. That was part of the big migration from Kids WB to Cartoon Network.
Yep, and then 8 has Lucario, and Lucario's just sick as hell. It's like Pokemon's second mascot or third mascot if you count Charizard. But yeah, it's like Lucario, top tier Pokemon, and I just loved it. The movie was awesome.
Lucario sucked.
Gave Ash more god powers by saying he has the ability to access Aura, which comes up in the current generation of Pokemon because Ash finally has Lucario.
Hey.
Oh, does he really?
Yes, he does. He hatched a Riolu egg with his Aura, and then now it's a Lucario, and apparently in Japan he's getting a Mega Stone so he can Mega Evolve his Lucario. Oh my god!
Very good. Yeah, I like how they took that element from the movie and they went with it. They're like, yeah, he has this. Like, he has this aura. He's like synchronizes with Lucario. So that's cool. No, like he deserves Lucario. It's kind of, I feel like that Pokemon was just meant to be part of Ash's team at some point.
Yep. And then the rest of the movies, they all change places here and there. Like, I really do enjoy 4, 5, 6, and 7. Like, they're all good. I think I like 6 and 7 more than the other two because I'm a Hoenn, but like playing Hoenn, that just hit me. That's where my connection is strongest. So whenever I see something from Hoenn, I'm like, I really enjoyed this time of my life. So this is just those feelings. Then when I hit, and then the rest of the Sinnoh movies, both 11 and 12 are dropping quality. I don't know what they did wrong, but it just doesn't hit as hard as 10. And then Zoroark is there. It's not a bad movie, but it is not as enjoyable as anything I've seen up until that point.
Mm-hmm.
And then we hit Black and White. So the Black and White double movie, it is not that bad.
Yeah,
really watching it.
You mentioned earlier there were 2 Victini movies?
Yes, they did a dual movie. What they did was what they did with the games. They made a black version and a white version. There are slight differences between the 2 movies. Like, if you watch, besides the fact that they swap which legendary the focus is on, like Ash will either use a Reshiram or a Zekrom depending on the movie you're watching, but there are slight variations, so you can spot the difference between these 2 scenes throughout the whole movie.
Did you watch both of them when you did your movie binge?
Yes, I did.
Oh my goodness.
I genuinely did not know that, man. I feel like that is kind of a cheap way for Pokemon to just make more money off of 2 theatrical releases of the same movie. But isn't that a core concept of Pokemon in the first place?
What I think happened was they did a theatrical release for White overseas, and they did a theatrical release for Black in America.
Huh. Okay. So then I saw the Black one.
Yes.
Gotcha.
But then eventually they played both on Cartoon Network at some point.
Okay. Well, that's cool that they got both somehow.
And Keldeo and Genesect are just bad movies. They're just bad movies.
So that's probably the point where the Pokemon movies just kind of got saturated.
Well, yes and no, because I argue that the next movie, the first Kalos movie, Deontay, has a lot of merit to it.
Okay.
It also has Ash dying again, so...
Perfect.
No, it was Pikachu. Pikachu almost died in this one.
Oh, okay. Well, that's not as fun, but okay.
But then we have the Pokemon community's unanimously voted hated movie, Hoopa.
Oh, no. What was wrong with Hoopa?
I remember hearing about this and just seeing like a trailer or something for it and just seeing so many legendaries. It's like, no, just no. Yep. Please stop.
Hoopa is just a mess of a movie because they thought it would be cool just to throw all the legendaries, which was kind of compounding on the growing feeling in the Pokemon community that A, there are too many legendaries, and B, they're just giving them away now. They don't even make them feel special anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So
okay.
Hoopa is really bad. But on the flip side of that, I really like the Volcanion movie for some reason. And it has almost the same problems that Hoopa kind of has because it just shoves a bunch of mega evolutions in the movie. But I think I just like the relationship between Volcanion and Magearna. And some of the stuff that happens in the movie includes like seeing weird steampunk / Pokemon mixed technology, which is kind of cool. So there's a lot of pros and cons in that movie.
And steampunk technology in that movie? What's the setting? What's the setting of the movie to set that up?
I could not tell you. It's like so Ash and his Kalos friends are just traveling around and they get to a city that was founded by this ancient scientist. Like 500 years ago, this ancient scientist made this city that works in combination with the use of Pokemon power. So it has a lot of old-timey, almost steampunk aesthetic to how the city is designed. It's just interesting stuff.
Okay, yeah, that actually sounds pretty interesting. That sounds different. So I'd be down to try that then.
Yeah, and then we get to these reboot movies. Pokemon I Choose You.
This is where I fall off. We don't need reboot movies.
But I Choose You hit me in so many feels that it catapulted itself up to basically number 4 on my list of Pokemon movies. Like, it hit you with the feels because it did Bye Bye Butterfree again.
Oh, of course they did. Yeah, that's just emotional payoff right there. No quicker way to make kids cry. I cried the first time I saw that episode.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot that happens in that movie. There's a lot of people who still hate that Pikachu talks at the very end of the movie. And I'm just like, screw you. I found it adorable and heartbreaking at the time because Ash definitely died.
Yeah. Wait. When did he die? What happened?
So at the very climax of the movie, they're fighting a bunch of basically possessed shadow Pokemon. They all launch their attacks. Ash, Pikachu's like is the target. Pikachu's kind of down on the ground after being beat up a lot. They launch all their attacks at Pikachu. Ash steps in the way like he did with the Spearow. Mm-hmm. So he does that. Pikachu tries to jump in front of him like in the Spearow fight where he would have electrocuted all of them. Yeah. But Pikachu was still so injured that the jump off of Ash's shoulder falls short. Pikachu hits the ground and Ash just gets demolished.
Oh my god.
Damn.
Oh, that sounds great. I need to see this. What? He just gets pelted by all these attacks at once?
Yes, and then as Ash is lying there, he's anime injured, but he's just like, he's basically dying.
He should be dead.
And he's looking at Pikachu and he says, didn't you want to stay in the ball? And Pikachu says in English, because I always wanted to be with you. And then Ash fades from existence.
What the?
Well,
and then Pikachu gets up wearing Ash's hat and this goes full rage thunderbolt everywhere. And it's so heartbreaking.
Who wrote this movie? What were they smoking? Like,
it's like eventually
man.
Ash comes back through the power of Ho-Oh, but still, oh my god.
Ho-Oh can resurrect people? Of course he can.
Well, yeah, that's how we got the 3 legiondary dogs. He resurrected the Pokemon, the Pokemon that died in the tower.
That part's actually canon.
That makes sense. But oh boy, it's like they wrote a happy ending and then they stopped before saying after the animators like, no. Oh no, this is gonna be really funny. I got a great idea. Just rip out the last 5 pages of the script and just write the most depressing thing you can think of. Boom! Now we've got a moneymaker. Print it. Print it.
Yeah,
animate it.
I'm in the minority that says that Pikachu talking is earned, and I liked it, but I was just emotionally invested.
Look,
some people really did not like it, but
look,
I'm in the minority.
If it's not Ryan Reynolds' voice that comes out of Pikachu's mouth, I don't want to hear it.
And then we've got The Power of Us, which it's good. I don't think it's fantastic, but it's a decent movie. I enjoyed it. And then Pokemon Coco, because I'm skipping Evolution. Pokemon Mewtwo Strikes Back Evolution is the worst cash grab I have ever seen, and I've watched both black and white movies.
You heard it here first, folks. If Tre doesn't like it, then you know it's bad.
Yeah, then you know it might not be worth your time.
There is one scene in that movie that almost makes up for it, because they get rid of the Minnesota Vikings joke.
No.
But they have Team Rocket show up in this Lapras paddle boat because they're promoting like this an actual Lapras paddle boat in Japan.
Of course.
And they're singing this ridiculous song, and I'm like, oh my god, this is glorious.
Okay, so Team Rocket's still there, and their energy still carries the movie. Good to know. There's that's the one thing it's worth seeing for.
But yeah, since they use the Japanese translation for the dub, it's not as good in my opinion, because the American dub did a lot of good things for it. As much as we hate 4Kids for some of their changes, the scripting in the first Pokemon movie just works.
Yeah,
it does.
They took some creative liberties, and like I appreciated that. I mean, it's the original movie's dub is reminiscent of that era where the Digimon movie also had its own incredibly unique dub from the Japanese side, and they made their own unique jokes at the right times that hit off with American audiences.
Well, just even going past that, like the first several movies, like whoever was like directing them or whatever, they were just given more freedom to do stuff. Because you can definitely tell when things start to become a little more standardized as far as like Pokemon movies are concerned in later movies, probably somewhere around the shift from Hoenn into Diamond and Pearl. Like you can start to see some of that sort of stuff happening in Hoenn, but it really, I think for me, hits that once you reach the Diamond and Pearl era.
Yeah. Yeah,
definitely.
Like visually, thematically, pacing wise, it all really like changes by that point.
Yeah, especially thematically.
Mm-hmm. And
but then we come to.
Sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead. No, you go ahead. Finish your thought.
Well, I do want to say this before we leave movies as a discussion. I do want to briefly just give a shout out to Pokemon 2000. Because we've all said by this point that we love the first 3 movies, you know, the nostalgia, they're all just really great, they're hand animated. But I feel like I have something unique to say about that second movie in particular. Okay. Pokemon Movie 2000, I saw that when I was living in Iceland. And I remember I saw that with like every other kid that lived in my apartment building. And I remember sitting in the front row on the far left side with like a big old bowl of popcorn and like a large soda. And I vividly remember the goosebumps that I felt watching the Pikachu short that aired before the movie for Pokemon 2000.
I miss Pokemon shorts before the movies.
Pikachu and Ash's Pokemon, they're searching for Togepi. And they fall down that rabbit hole, and they're just tumbling through while this like rock song plays, singing about how they're gonna find Togepi. And I'm just like,
coming to the rescue.
I swear that opening song, that whole animation, like it awakened something inside of me. Like it made me like realized that I enjoyed getting emotional satisfaction, like whether it was suspense or it was like a thrill or something. I realized I enjoyed taking that away from seeing a really cool movie or really fun show. So like I remember being enamored by that in the theater, and I personally have a huge affinity for open blue skies and blue oceans and coastal lines. Like aesthetically, those are my favorite things that I love to see. I love drawing those. I love seeing them in anime. I love those as backdrops. My happiest days are when it's, you know, big, bright, open sky outside with no clouds. I know that's like Spencer's hatred. He hates no clouds, but that's because he grew up on a farm. But for me, you know, I love that type of ocean line aesthetic, and Pokemon 2000 was all about that.
Yeah.
It took place along those islands, and, you know, Ash had to travel to several different islands to collect the orbs because the actual planet was falling into catastrophe. Like, all the weather was changing, and it was because there were problems happening with Lugia being captured, and, like, the oceans were going out of control. There was this massive prophecy, and it literally said that the world shall fall to ash. And they all realized, holy crap, it's talking about Ash. What? The main character? I know that's cheesy in retrospective now as an adult, but as a kid, I couldn't have been more affected by that revelation. Holy cow, it's talking about him? Our main character? Like, it just felt so full circle, and I thought it was cool. Like, it felt so rule of cool that I fell in love with the movie immediately. And out of all the Pokemon movies, like, it's not the one with the best narrative, but it's the one that I enjoy watching the most. And I've rewatched that movie like a dozen times. Whereas every other Pokemon movie I've seen maybe 3 times at best. But this one I've seen about a dozen. The music's great. The score is great. All the aesthetics are great. You see nearly every single Pokemon in that movie besides Mew and Mewtwo. And they have a bunch of characters come back. You could see Tracy in the movie, which is kind of cool, you know.
Well, Tracy was the main character in the movie. Brock was the cameo.
Yeah, like Brock showed up, thank goodness. Like Brock was there with like Professor Ivy, right? I think she showed up in the movie for like a brief split second with Brock. But Professor Oak flies out with Ash's mom to the island where they're at. That just goes to show how large scale that the second movie was. The whole world was coming to an end. So, like, the 2 parental figures in Ash's life flew all the way out from their little small town in Kanto to this faraway island in the middle of nowhere just to be with Ash again and to help him out. So a lot was happening in the end there. I also was a massive shipper for Ash and Misty at the time, and there were more than a few, nudges about that relationship, with Melody being there. Yep. Melody asking Misty, so are you his girlfriend? And she's like, I'm not his girlfriend. And Melody's like, okay, you won't mind if I'm his girlfriend then. And like that,
Poke shippers unite.
I found that really fun. I was just always about those two. As a kid, I just, I liked the thought of Ash and Misty being together. So, just there's many different threads about the Pokemon 2000 movie that I feel like they still affect me to this day whenever it comes to cinematography, music, hand animation, or just emotional points that a story might hit. So I just want to give a big shout out to that movie in particular. I know that everybody likes it, but I think I have a real high affinity for it. I couldn't let this podcast go past without me saying it at least once.
Okay, yeah. Well, let me just quickly bring up Coco since it just came out, or The Secret of the Jungle, is the dub name.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's the 23rd movie. It's basically Tarzan. It's basically Pokemon said, "What if we did Tarzan?" And it's like, bet. Still, I highly recommend this movie. It's in my top 10 now for sure. Maybe even top 6.
Okay, I remember seeing the trailer for it, and it didn't like inspire me on any level, but if you think it's that good, then maybe it's worth a shot.
It's very arguably a very good movie. You can see it on Netflix. It's like the last 4 movies that Pokemon has made are all on Netflix now. So if you want to at least see this new timeline, Ash, check them out. All right, before we wrap up, let's talk thoughts on the upcoming games. We've got.
I have one more thing on the movies. I just want to say that after somebody mentioned it, I have to say that even though it's not necessarily like one of the main movies, that Detective Pikachu might be my favorite non-first 3 movie.
Oh, definitely, definitely.
So
the power of Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, no, literally, Ryan Reynolds as Pikachu sold that movie for me, and then the plot just kept me entertained the rest of the way.
Yeah,
I agree.
Pikachu's addiction to coffee.
Like, that's why we have Detective Pikachu in our slideshow, because it was the phenomenon of, oh my god, we actually got a good video game movie. Oh my god.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, we need to like sit down and rewatch that movie together at some point. It's a lot of fun.
Oh, definitely.
Down for like a watch party.
Anyways, so let's, because we gotta wrap up soon, but we have to talk about the big elephant in the room. This month, we're getting 2 new Pokemon games. The official Gen 4 confirmed Diamond and Pearl remakes, Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. But on top of that, we're getting in 2 months, at the end of January, we're getting Legends Arceus.
Yes.
So, I need to tell you guys, I'm going to repeat the story that I've told you guys this once, but let me tell you guys the story of where I was when I heard the announcement for these games. It was during the Pokemon Day celebration back in February this year. I was supposed to be in class at that time. I was on a Zoom. It was during Zoom class. I was literally like, you know what? I'm not on camera. I'm not gonna pay attention to class for a minute. I was watching that direct the entire time. And when they finally got to the final announcements for the year so they brought up the thing that says, yes, Gen 4 coming this year. And I'm just watching with bated breath. And then my heart sank the second I saw the chibi art style. I died a little the second I saw the chibi art style.
Yeah, I think a lot of us were like kind of blindsided by that.
I think I was the only one when that trailer came out that was just like, I'm actually okay with this right now.
It has grown on me. I
remember mentioning it in the Discord and just being like kind of bombasted from all sides, just like, oh, I'm in the minority on this one. Okay.
But then they played the trailer for Legends Arceus, and I lost my mind. I was going ape, because, oh my god, they gave us everything. They gave us a Diamond and Pearl remake, and they're giving us a semi-open world Pokemon game with dodge mechanics, and Pokemon can kill you, man. They could hurt you.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
It's definitely got more Breath of the Wild aesthetic and mechanics now. It's much more like open world, and like Legends Arceus, I feel like that is just an experimentation on Nintendo's part to be like, okay, we know what fans have been asking for the longest time. It's wildly different from the traditional Pokemon formula. So let's do an experiment. Let's just see how this pans out. We're going to do, a very offshoot kind of game. It's wildly different from the Pokemon formula. And we're just going to grant a lot of wishes for people. We're going to put it under a new banner. We're going to call it Pokemon Legends and just see where it goes. They're keeping it open-ended. And I mean, they're focusing more on the visuals this time. It's definitely not about collecting, at least not the forefront. That was the trailer that made up for a lot of disappointment that people felt at the first sight of the Diamond and Pearl remakes. And that was so incredibly smart on Nintendo's end. Because yes, there's plenty of fans out there like Spencer and myself included who actually wanted the top-down original style to come back. So Nintendo, they gave both fan bases what they wanted.
Yeah, no, definitely.
And big brain right there. Even if they weren't entirely ready to show up both games, because there were still some issues and frame rate stuff about both trailers that we saw.
Yep.
But in terms of showing like, hey, these are the concepts we're working on, these are the games you're going to get, this is where Pokemon can go moving forward. I think everybody was at least like hopeful coming out of that direct, if not blown away.
Yeah, both of these trailers dropped. The community was divided, but still super excited because Gen 4 finally was official. But we've gotten more trailers since then. The graphics look fantastic in the Diamond and Pearl remakes. So it's like we finally come around. It's like you got to really take that gameplay, not footage tag very seriously.
Yeah, 100%.
It's like, but they've made improvements to the game because they had said at the very beginning, at the first time we heard about these games, they said that they would be faithful recreations of the original games, which was very disappointing. But they were like, nah, we're just kidding. We're adding a bunch of cool stuff. I'm still worried about some of the platinum stuff being missing from the game. But overall, this game is already showing signs that it's going to be much better than the original Diamond and Pearl. And it's just going to be good fun.
I'm still holding out hope that maybe the Distortion World will show up as DLC. God, I hope so, because I feel like it's such a missed opportunity to not take all the aspects that made Platinum special and merge it with Diamond and Pearl, especially since I did not get to play Platinum growing up, and that was a massive mistake on my part.
I feel like it's necessary to have for Gen 4. If they don't do it, then that's going to be the critical failure.
Yeah.
But it's like the community has already prepared themselves for that failure, especially since this is not being made by Game Freak, the main makers of Pokemon. It's being outsourced to a company called Ilka.
Okay.
Wait,
guys. I'm just gonna interject here. Apparently, the Gen 4 remakes have leaked.
Yeah,
what?
Someone's been leaking them. Someone had got their hands on them and has been leaking some information.
I didn't know that.
I'm not looking at any of it because do not ruin this.
I just went to Google and just like the first thing is just a Kotaku article about how they've been leaked.
No,
like apparently
way.
copies have started showing up in the wild 2 weeks early.
Man, you know that's okay. Well, that's cool, but at the same time, I mean, the games still have how many days to come out?
2 weeks. What is it? 12 days. 12 days.
12 days.
Yeah, on the 19th.
So it's like that just kind of sucks, you know. That kind of like ruins the hype buildup, right?
Yep.
You know, but I mean, it happens. You know, mistakes happen. Games get shipped out early. I won't look either, but. Well, I will say that I am happy that they decided to be like more faithful to Gen 4, and they're still doing the top-down aesthetic. I'm fine with the chibi aesthetic. I was expecting a remake more on like the level of Sword and Shield. So when I saw the trailer, I wasn't disappointed. I was just surprised. I was like, oh. Well, they're not doing that. Okay, well, this is fine. This is okay. What matters to me is that I get a chance to, once again, refight Regigigas and capture him a second time. Because that was one of my favorite battles in Gen 4. I kid you not. I spent so many trips marching up to the Shrine of Regigigas and going through that whole maze, and I'd go find the statue of him just frozen there, and I would just gaze at it. And tell myself one day, I'm going to get all 3 Regis and I'm going to import them into Pearl, my copy I had at the time. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to kick your butt and I'm going to capture you and you're going to be mine. And
God, I'm not looking forward to this because the only way to probably get the Regis into the new games would be through Pokemon Home. I hate you, Nintendo, and Pokemon, whoever's in charge of this process of making it for Pokemon transfers. Oh my God!
And I would hope that Pokemon might accommodate for that. Yeah, I'll let you go.
Yeah, they might. So because it's not as easily done as it was before to transfer Pokemon, they might make an extra side thing because this is something they've done for the remakes in general, is that they have added additional content more so than what was in the original game. That they did it at the very beginning, starting with the Red and Green remakes. Fire Red, Leaf Green, they had the Sevi Islands. They had completely new areas. So I don't think it's outside the realm of possibility that they have innate Regis in the game. Maybe it would be locked behind post-game content. But I think it's definitely a possibility that they have Regis in the game so that you can not have to go through the hassle of doing the Pokemon Home.
Because Regigigas was a quest in itself. It was a post game side quest, and they've already confirmed that Mystery Gift is coming back for these games. So,
I mean, Mystery Gift, it's just a giveaway thing.
Yeah,
which
they could just drop the Regis for us at some point.
They could. That's always an option. It's just a worry I have because there's a lot of systems in place now where Pokemon is basically saying, if you want this Pokemon, just go through these channels that we have, and it'll be very easy. So there's just a lot of things up in the air with how modern Pokemon behaves versus how things could be.
Sure. And I certainly wish it was easier to transfer my old Pokemon from my DS games up to the current games. I missed out on my opportunity to do so. That's probably never going to happen again, but it would be nice.
I don't know how communication is supposed to work between Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
But also I would also require 2 switches to do that, to do like a trade for trade, but I think it's going to be a Pokemon Home thing for at least the immediate path, because the current DLC for Sword and Shield allowed you to capture the first 3 Regis plus one of the 2 new ones.
Okay. What is the subscription price for Home anyways?
I mean, you could do it for free, but it would only allow you to hold 30 Pokemon at a time.
Yeah, that's BS. That's not happening. Like,
I can't remember the price now. Yeah. It was like, Mike Heap did a video on this. It's like Mike Heap did a video on this a while back when it first came out.
$3 per month, $5 for 3 months, or $16 for a year.
Okay. It's not awful, if you're really dedicated into Pokemon and you really want to hold on to your Pokemon, you'll pay the price. But
it's still an external cash grab, though, that shouldn't be necessary.
Yeah, completely, utterly, and completely. But yeah, regardless of all that, I'm excited for the Gen 4 remakes because I think I have all the Pokemon gens in terms of playing games. I had the most fun with 4th gen because by that point I become old enough that I could actually defeat all the gym leaders on my own. I could defeat all the post-game stuff on my own. Like, I didn't need my older brother to help me play the game anymore. So I really had a lot of fun with Gen 4 in particular, and I'm kind of hoping to revisit some of that nostalgia and hopefully maybe finally get to ascend to the Hall of Origin and fight Arceus for the first time.
Well, that's going to be something that the community has been talking about a lot because we want the Mystery Gift events to come back, but there's no telling if they're going to do that. But there's also a hope that there's going to be some sort of in-system communication between if you play Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl, and then you play Legends Arceus, that there's something is going to happen that'll allow you to access Arceus in Diamond and Pearl because you play Legends Arceus.
That would be pretty cool tie-in. I mean, I'm going to get Legends Arceus either way. So
yeah, I'm going to get Legends Arceus as well, just because it's Game Freak themselves first, like, real outing, stepping away from their formula that they've been doing. Because I'm pretty sure all of the side games have been done by other companies, hasn't it?
Yeah, almost every side game. If it's like they're like Game Freak might help a little bit, but most of the time it's Creatures Inc. is the main ones who supply the Pokemon. Game Freak only really makes the main line games. So yeah, it's a partnership with the side game. So this would be Game Freak's first attempt at anything like this.
Yeah, and I'm going to hold off on like my judgment on Arceus and its whole thing simply on that front until I've actually had a chance to play through the entire thing, because I'm really kind of going into this with my expectations in check, since this is their first time doing anything different, and also this is Game Freak, and they just need to be more willing to take a chance on some stuff, because they almost can't take a chance just because of how big the franchise is.
Yeah.
Otherwise, things start kind of crumbling down around everything. But if they're willing to start doing something like this, I'm going to let them try and make some mistakes and hopefully come out better going forward. I want to see like what new ideas they've brought to the table with this, because apart from just like being able to like run around and see the Pokemon and like throw balls just right on the fly and being able to just battle in the open world, we haven't really seen much of this. Like, they've kind of kept a lot of it under wraps, and so I'm wondering what other things, like what other ideas they've brought to this.
Yeah, because it's a prime opportunity for Game Freak to try a lot of new things. They're not very restrained this time around. What is the release?
And they can do that because the Gen 4 remakes are kind of taking the place of the standard Pokemon adventure for this year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it fills that quota. What is the release date for Legends Arceus?
January 28th.
Yeah.
That is close. Like, I'm surprised how closely the two sets of games are coming out together.
Yeah, like I said, Ilka is the one developing Brilliant Diamond and Shining Pearl. So Game Freak basically has been taking... If we say they didn't start working on it until after they finished the DLC for Sword and Shield, then they've been working on this for about 2 years now. Ilka has had however long they've had.
Mm-hmm. Right. So that further proves that, you know, since both sets of games have been like developed simultaneously by two different studios, but still kind of in tandem, that raises the possibility there might be a like tie-in event between both games.
Yes, that's all the community really wants is to is some at least a little connectivity. Like when Sword and Shield came out, if you played Let's Go Pikachu or Eevee, they gave you a gift, Gigantamax Pikachu or Gigantamax Eevee based on the game you played.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah, but really though, I want to be able to play the Hollow Origin event because they never dropped that item in the North American release of Diamond and Pearl back in 2006. They never did it
anywhere.
What they did instead was that they did an Arceus giveaway event at Toys R Us like a year or so later when the movie came out for Arceus, and that was lame because while they gave you a level 100 Arceus that triggered a post-game event in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, the Arceus did not do anything for the built-in Hall of Origin event in the game. So the only way you could play it was to hack your game.
Yep. It's like technically they never gave that out to anyone, so the only reason we know it is because people have hacked their games.
Yeah, but it's just such a cool concept. I always loved the concept. I want to be able to fight God and get my butt kicked.
Yeah. But that's about it. Any last thoughts before we wrap up here, boys?
Well, I was wondering if you guys... So there's obviously a theme to every mainline generation on where, or at least recently, where it's being based on. So like X and Y was supposed to be on like France, right? Hawaii for Sun and Moon, England for Sword and Shield. Where do you guys think that Gen 9, if there is going to be a Gen 9, is going to be placed?
The Moon.
Just a final...
The fun thoughts of where could they be marketing to next. And there's a heavy idea that it could be China next, actually.
That'd be interesting.
Iceland. I want to see...
I think it's going to be India.
That'd be cool, too.
That'd actually be pretty cool.
So I actually watched a video on how there is a strong prevalence that in the latest games that the mythical Pokemon tend to hint at both the overarching story and or the location of the next game.
Yeah, I think I've seen that video too.
I'm sure you have. And India was one that stuck out to me that made a lot of sense based on Zarude or whatever his name is. That was in the latest movie. It's the only mythical Pokemon that's been released for Sword and Shield so far. So, and I really liked the idea of that. So India is kind of where I'm leaning towards.
That's not bad. That's not a bad guess at all, actually. Yeah, I buy into that. And frankly,
China would be cool too.
Yeah, China would also be super cool. But it does bring up an interesting point because we've tried a lot of settings already. And so it begs the question of where could it go next?
Technically, they tried a lot of settings, but also not a lot of settings at all. Because we've tried 4 in Japan, 1 in America, 1 that is all of England, 1 that is the majority of France, and 1 that is Hawaii. And of course, we have the side regions where they have loose bases if you configure it out, like the first Shadows game. Yeah, the first Shadows game, they were taking place in the Fior region, the Ore region was the Southwest.
Oh, that's right. Ore region from the Coliseum games.
Yeah, Coliseum and Gale of Darkness.
Yeah.
It's like that was the American Southwest technically.
Canada. Canada will be the next setting.
Actually, there's a shout out to a very popular PokeTuber, Hoops and Hip Hop. He made an entire Fakemon fan series where it was set in Canada, where he made his own region, made his own Pokemon that fit into a region that would be based on Canada.
Interesting.
All right. Okay. As long as Scott Pilgrim shows up to capture Pokemon, I'm cool with it.
Shout out to Hoops and Hip Hop's Pokemon Cardinal, plus any of the other PokeTubers out there who are just doing fantastic work, giving me content to watch on the regular basis.
Yeah. Yeah, and soon enough, we're going to have your Nuzlocke out as well. I can't wait to see those, because I haven't seen much of it yet. Okay. Yeah, I think that wraps everything up. I don't have a whole lot else to say. I ate that one Pikachu popsicle that came out, back in 1999. It was just as disappointing as it looks.
Yeah, it was a popsicle.
It was a popsicle.
It was a popsicle.
I think the cereal is better that they released recently.
Oh, the Burger King toys were awesome. Those were top tier.
Cards for Pokemon 2000?
Dude, yeah, that's why I was about to say is those gold cards.
Yes.
I still have mine. I still have my golden Pikachu.
I had the whole set. I made my family take me enough to get the whole set, and I don't know where they are. So I'm hoping they didn't get lost in one of the moves, because there were a lot of things that I think got lost in our storage unit, i.e. the garage. I think a lot of times there were some things in there that just got tossed or misplaced or whatever, and I'm hoping that they were not in one of the totes that got misplaced.
Oh no, yeah.
Because I had the whole set, man.
Yeah, fingers crossed.
Oh my god.
They're like, we're sick of Burger King, and I'm like, no, I want all of the cards.
All of them.
I gotta catch them all.
Yeah, the toys were cool, and then I think they didn't have Pokemon toys at Burger King for a long time. When they came back, it was for the Victini movie or whatever, and they sucked.
Yeah.
But the McDonald's Pokemon meals, those were top tier marketing. That was the best type of Pokemon McDonald's meal they could have ever made. So I liked that. Yeah,
in case you didn't know, once again, we mentioned at the top of the podcast, Andrew and Drew went to McDonald's and bought out 10 of their boxes.
I only bought 3.
I had 10 personally.
I bought at 3 for myself.
You monsters.
I only bought 3.
Well, I gotta catch them all.
Hey, look at it this way. I put all of my cards into protective sleeves. I bought a protective case for them, and I'm never getting rid of them. I love those cards. They're special to me.
Right here on my desk in sleeves as well.
I didn't sell mine. I didn't go on eBay. I'm not selling my Pokemon cards.
You're gonna be strapped for cash one day, and you're gonna be like, "These are worth a lot of money."
I'll sell my anime collection first before I sell my Pokemon cards, man.
That's bold words.
Those are bold words. I'm gonna stick by them. I don't care. Okay, anime's great and all, but Pokemon is Pokemon.
I'll sell neither. I'm committed for life.
Sell my plasma first.
That's a good point, actually.
Yeah.
All right.
Well, that wraps up this episode. We'd like to thank everyone for tuning in today. If you want to be a true Advent 7 master, make sure to tackle that like button, use Thunderbolt on the subscribe button, and leave your favorite Pokemon in the comment section down below. For all things anime, video games, and comic book related, please check out our social medias. We've got Twitter. You can follow us on Twitter at Advent 7 at Twitter at Advent_7.
Follow us.
You
We're
can go-
lonely. We want friends.
You can check us out on Facebook. We have a Facebook page. We have a subreddit. You can follow. You can also check out our articles on our main website, advent7.com. All right, boys. So, from Advent7, I'm Trey, and I was joined by Andrew.
Woohoo!
Spencer.
Ew.
Andrew.
That's me.
And we're Team Advent7, and we're blasting off again!
I wanna be the very best, like no one ever was.
Sinnoh League victors.
To catch them is my real test.
Oh wait, was that the wrong song?
Train
Them is my cause.
I will
This is
travel
Pokemon
across
rap.
the land.
I don't know the Poke Rap, man. Like it's been
Dude, I
too many
haven't known
years.
the Poke Rap for
Wait.
years, dude.
Diglett, Mankey, Firo, Rattata, Spearow, Pidgey.
Ponyta.
Catch 'em, gotta catch 'em all.
Gotta catch 'em
Gotta
all.
catch 'em all.
Pokemon.
They hated writing that. They hated
I bet
writing
they
that
did.
rap.
I bet they did, but they're famous now for it.
But dude, it was so good.
Two tentacle Aerodactyl, Almanite, Slow Bro, Pidgeot, Arbok.
That's all, folks.
It's like, wait, what? What?